push the record button. The start button.
I'm a little upset. I tried to time it so that the first audio out of the damn thing would be Lahi. I think I missed it by like a second or two. I'm slightly upset. I'm slightly upset. Let me invite
All right,
Lahi.
it's 9 o'clock, though. We're going. There's
We
like
are
7 of
going.
you waiting. Hello, welcome to What's Up. We are slightly late.
I mean,
Well, okay, it's like 2 hours. A little more than slightly.
yeah.
Whatever,
even
we're late.
fashionable.
We're here now. Fashionably late, yeah. We're here. Hi, welcome. Before anything happens, I would like to remind you this episode is brought to you by our patrons. Like Adam Harbaugh, Tan Vex, G, Carlos, Dragon, Ferris, Jerry Vasquez, Just the Fate, Jonathan Sandoval, Legendary Boss Hunter, Reeve Raptor, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Robin, Trevor, Sean Pryor, Some Guy Bob, 723, Varian the Crow. Thank you very much for your support. If you want to support us, support us on Patreon. It's cool.
You are speed.
Well, I'm trying to get into it. Also, with What's Up especially, I have a terrible habit of being like, well, what are we doing, Lucky? Why are we here? And then I fucking forget, and it's like 30 minutes later, and I'm just like, I'll put it in post. So, I suppose it is as good a time as any to ask, hey, what are we doing, Lucky? What's on screen right now?
Today we're playing Final Fantasy XIV. It is the seasonal times of seasons. As you can see, I and my lovely Chocobo, Kevin, are in our season's best. Look at that fluff boy. He's great. But right now, I basically am grabbing a couple of lads and we're going to go do treasure maps.
Alrighty. Well, yeah, so that's where we are. We're doing this.
Mhm.
So, is there any particular story why we had to be late?
Not super particularly. I just had a couple errant. Oh, yes, we must. Hang on. We must pay our respects to the treasure chest.
Of course. You gotta be respectful.
Because this is a mechanic in 14 where basically if you do like gathering missions, you will sometimes find treasure chests. And certain types of maps have a chance of giving you a portal, which can get you super rare and super, well, I guess that's the only way to really put it, super rare items that can literally sell for like millions, 100 millions of market boards. So got to be respectful to the treasure chests and hope that they give you, give it. Some of the gear, some of my glamour stuff is made from those materials. And if I was to sell them, I could have raked in much, but fashion over finance.
Well, obviously, you gotta look good.
Yeah.
That's why we had a whole, like, 30-minute diversion on Thursday, because we moved stuff around, because 14 bamboozled me slightly. Bamboozled all of us, really. Several of us were bamboozled. To actually track down glamorification. It's kind of funny that just you learned how to use glamours in the glamour dresser from just a rando on the streets outside the Waking Sands.
Yeah, did you ever get that settled?
Oh, yeah, we did that on stream. I did not actually go into my glamour dresser or anything, because what was it, 12 prisms? I think from doing the quest? So, you know, not an infinite number. But yes, I have access to... I even joked about it on stream, where the game gave me all the fanfare of, you know, unlocking a new dungeon as you know, glamours are now unlocked. 14 knows what they're aiming for.
Sorry, this treasure chest is being a fucking pain in the ass. Luckily, it's it's only a level 80 one, so we're not actually having that much trouble, but unfortunately, because of my delays in times right now, my food is about to... Oh, it's probably here. I gotta run. I'll be right back. Don't die, Loth! Don't let me die either!
Okay, he was moving out as part of the thing. All right. I was gonna say, timing-wise for me, chat. Hi, it's Omega alone time. Timing-wise for me, that was Lucky was just in the 2 or 3 orange circles there. As he said, don't let me die. But I think that was the preview lag. But hi, hello, it's me, chat. Lucky's go getting his food. He's gonna stand here for a second. We're gonna keep him alive. Be sure to go ahead and watch that 14 stream. I'm sorry it's only a couple hours because I was fucking dying of being sick. I'm not sick anymore, but you should go watch it. We did do some funny stuff there. We did the seasonal event, and I started poking the Hildebrand quest line. There were some hearty chuckles and cacks involved. Axe taught me where the optimized gear button was. And yes, you can dunk on me. It has been that many, this many episodes. I fucking beat a Realm Reborn. I didn't know where the button was. I would like to remind everybody my jokes about being grossly overleveled. I am 3-turn farming Lottos while we're doing this, so if I seem slightly distracted at any point, it's probably because I have to click buttons. But we got a couple things to talk to you about when Lucky gets back. Plenty of time out there. How you doing, chat? You having a pleasant weekend? Actually, well, Lucky is gone. This is a perfect time to bring up. Omega has to be on his shield today because I've spent $180 on TV. I really do need the TV though. My current TV I've been talking about has been temperamental for about a month, and today it took like, I shit you not,
Alright, sorry
15 to
about that.
20
I'm back.
minutes to turn on.
Okay. Let's open this chest. Did
Alright,
you get a
let's
portal?
Nice.
No portal.
No, not nice.
Okay.
I was just telling the people that I had to buy a new TV today because my current one is getting very temperamental. It took it like 20 minutes to turn on today. It's not good. Yeah, no, it's you're chirping and a squeaking, and it takes a while to get turned on. This was after I like halfway through that like did the old unplug reset, plugged it back in, and immediately went back to freaking out. So it did eventually turn on, but I was like, okay, I need to buy the TV. So I would really appreciate y'all if you would, if you're out there, it's almost the end of the year. Consider an annual Patreon membership. You can support us on Patreon for a whole year for, I think it's exactly $10.80 American, I think is how it works out with the annual discount. If you don't got a channel membership, consider going for channel memberships. Or if you do have a membership from like a gift membership, consider renewing when your time is up, give us a little extra juice. And you don't have to support us financially if you're already supporting us. You don't have to double support. Just tell your friends. There's a lot to be said for just getting views in and getting good on the ground. You got a friend who likes video games, who likes dumb people who like video games? That's us. We like video games. We're dumb on the internet. Tell them about us. Let us know. Let them know, and show them some stuff. And maybe, we'll get some more views. We'll get circulated. We'll get some more revenue. I don't care if you're premium or not premium. We get revenue all the same. I do care if you're ad blocking, though. Don't be ad blocking on the stream right now. Thank you. Well, I'm glad people are watching. And obviously, if you do want to, consider dropping a super chat or membership gifts or whatever, we appreciate that. Okay, Architect. You're all right. Thank you for the super chat. Don't tell me what to do. This is our relationship with a lot of our audience. Is we tell you not to do stuff, and you're like, I'll get in there.
We yell at a lot of people.
And our chat yells back. Like I said, not lately because Dallas has been fucking dying doing finals, but I swear to God, like we do what, 4 or 5 fail betrayals a month? Mm-hmm. I swear I make at least $10 a month in YouTube bucks off people just being annoyed enough at Dallas saying something. Oh, chat overlay's not turned on right now.
Oh no! I thought Did I fuck that up?
Nope. Thank you for catching that. It's good. I am watching in the thing, so he's saying that. But yeah, no, seriously, like, I swear to God, we make like $10 every month when we're doing full fail betrayals of people just wanting to yell at Dallas.
I wonder why the chat overlay ain't working.
But yeah, so I'm
I'm an idiot.
I'm gonna be slightly leaning on the haha funny. Please give me money today. Because while I can write that off as a business expense on my taxes in several months, because it's very hard to stream console games without a TV to plug your console into. It's still, a thing in my bank account right now. Yelling at Dallas is like drinking water. An instinctual habit. Thank you. Somebody fucking cross-stitch that. I want to put it in my foyer one day. When we have our own studio, we'll put that right up front of the reception desk. Were you really free? Oh, okay, cutscene. Good, you got me, X. Okay, but yeah, so I probably could have gotten it cheaper if I'd done this about a month ago or 3 weeks ago around Black Friday. But if I remember the prices when I looked, then I would have only have saved like $30 or $40. I'd have to shell out a little bit extra because there were cheaper TVs that were the same size. Yes, I still got another 32-inch because I can't fit a 40-inch on my TV stand and my PS5 currently. It will not work. The PS5 is huge.
Why don't you mount it to your wall?
I would have to mount it to my wall, which is a thing I do not know if I'm authorized to do. Remember, I don't own my own home. I live with my parents. I don't think they would mind helping me. I don't know if we want to put wall mounts in the wall.
That's
I guess I could, but that would be more money.
TV mounts aren't that expensive.
Well, maybe on the next one.
Yeah, no, because that's what I do with mine. I don't know if I saw some pictures of it. Yeah, but mine just floats. It swivels a bit. So I can either have it facing towards me when I'm at my computer desk, or I twist it, then it's facing my bed, so I can be like, I die now. And I binge watch something.
Yeah, I don't think a swivel would benefit my my current setup, just because where my computer desk relative to my TV is there's, you know, the corner of my PS5 and my dresser in the way as I turn fully away from my microphone. So, but yeah, I could have tried a smaller round, I guess. I'm okay with 32 inches. The amount of distance between like me, like the end of my bed and my TV is very short anyway, so I was just, you know, I need a new TV now, so I'll pick up something the same. But I wanted to make sure it was the same size at least and not spring bigger, because that would be more cash. And then also I wanted to make sure it was 1080p because there were cheaper 32-inch TVs, but they said they were only 720, and I'm just like, what is this? We still make 720 TVs in this day and age? Who does that? It's also allegedly a Roku TV, but that doesn't matter to me because I have a PS5, so I can just put all my streaming apps. Anyway, enough about me buying TVs. I'm going to push more buttons. They're not, though, is the thing, Penguin. They weren't. I mean, there's one that was like at $100, but no, it was still sizable casholas. There was a slightly cheaper 32-inch 1080 TV, but it was not in stock. That's the other thing. The TV I ordered will arrive tomorrow. Thanks, Amazon. Whereas that TV would not have arrived until January, so it's not good. It's not a good look. Not going to work.
Nope.
But all right, we're here. We're doing stuff. Let's see.
Well, Axe is eating birthday cake, so we gotta wait on him so we can start treasure hunting. But actually, I should probably check my map situation here. That's because I got a few.
He's checking maps.
I have a 70. I have an 80. X probably can't. No, Axe can't do the 80s because he doesn't have a class that high. But are these? Nope. Oh shit, these are 80s too. Damn it. Okay. Well, I might have to go pick up some more Gazelle skin maps then, so we can have fun.
Such coordination.
Well, I am the leader, technically. I'm a very bad leader, but, you know, I gotta lead sometimes.
Yeah, so you know, we're organized.
We go to Limsa.
Of course, as we always do.
I do just like Limsa.
I mean, that was, among other things, that was the part of the small amount of 14-related conversation, too, we got up to on Thursday. I asked around the question. I aimed it at Dallas, but it was also put it to the group. What city do you actually like? And most people were like, Limsa. It's Limsa. I did have to walk around Ul'dah a fair bit in doing some of the Hildebrand quests, and I was reminded once again that the geography of that city is unhinged. The Lalafell are truly the most demented urban planners.
Oh, maps are expensive today.
But speaking of your leadership, I do want to say I am a little sorry we didn't get to. I know you've been thinking about like some quests and some dungeons we could do on stream and stuff for me, and we did not get to that Thursday because I was dying.
That happens.
I am now no longer dying, chat. So hopefully we'll have a full-bodied stream next week, full of life and love.
Well, I am glad that you actually started on the Hildebrand quest, and I am also pleased to see that you actually seem to enjoy it and find it funny.
Oh, yeah. No, it was good. It's... I feel like it's exactly the kind of, I know I'm using the phrase demented a lot, but the Hildebrand quests truly are unhinged, and I believe they are deliberately written that way. But
Yes.
when compared to even some of the other comedic writing I've run into in like quests and commentary from characters in 14, it feels just like the entire writing team is just cutting loose and will do whatever the most insane version of the plot is. Fucking, you find a weird crate. Oh, we could just pry these crates open. No, Nash is gonna blow them the fuck up. What's inside the crates? Color-coded fan club stalkers for this giant fashion lady, and they're like, yes, we want her wrath. And I'm like, oh my god, they're just telling them to step on her, and she just runs them off, and then we go to our next thing. I've already picked up that, like, literally every time we do anything, fucking Hildebrand's gonna run off ahead of time, and then the actual quest giver's gonna be like, wait, I didn't tell you where to go. And then somehow he shows up next to me anyway. Maybe he really is that good of a detective. And I think even, it was you or Loth who said this on stream. Sorry, there's a lot of blurring involved, but it does feel like it's the modeling team really getting to cut loose and test out their rigs. Because there are some very exaggerated facial expressions and poses in the quests. And this is only just like the ones that I presume were in, you know, AAR from the start or very soon to start. So yeah, it's good. Only got so far because, like I said, I fucking ran out of juice after 2 hours. But we're here. We got a couple of things we can talk about. Obviously, as you continue to, you know, find treasures and stare at Limsa. We'll probably talk off and on about some 14 things occasionally. But I got a couple of things in the pocket. One of them is, it's even in the thumbnail. PlayStation did their yearly wrap-up thing. You can click things on and do stuff in. We've both gone through that. So I think there's some interesting stats there that we can discuss. And actually, let me go ahead and pull up my list again, because I realized the summary I saved, it's not actually giving me the full hours. Because I think there's some interesting numbers there. But also, in addition to all that, as you know, you might expect to see me seeing, I pre-ordered Crisis Core Reunion. It's out. I've been playing it. I got about 14 hours in the game, so I can talk about that one. And I think that discussion will also turn into a little bit of a general discussion on some things I've noticed, because obviously this is my first time playing. I never had a PSP. Lucky, you did have a PSP, right?
Yeah, no, I beat Crisis Core on PSP.
Okay, yeah. So this is my first time playing, and I've noticed, or I'm feeling some things about the game design of the game that are kind of interesting to me in the context of, you know, 2022. So there might be a deeper talking point there. So I guess it depends on where you think we should start.
Well, oh man, that was a lot of damage.
Oh no, your ankles.
My everything. I just jumped into water, so.
Ah, yeah, okay. That is your everything. That's fine. It's just so long as, you know, the last one doesn't kill you.
Yep. I shall float. There's an emote, so when you're into water, you can just float, and I love it.
All right, that's pretty good.
I shall wait here. Axe said his treasure map is on the Azim step, but he's away eating cake, so we gotta wait for him now.
Yeah.
But let's start with Crisis Core.
All right, so to start off, again, I'm not done with the game. I'm about 14 hours in. I have no clue where I'm at and how the game is, because I will talk about the pacing in a second. But I'm about 20% done with all the bonus missions in the game. I am taking my time to actually play most of those as they unlock, at least when they are not super fucking hard for me currently. But my overall review thoughts are, basically, if you, like me, have never played Crisis Core before now, or if you did play it originally on the PSP, God, what was it, 10 years ago? I think I asked this the other day. Let me actually look up when the original Crisis Core came out. Initial release date, 2007. So it's been 15 years, actually. Talk about a long tail on that remaster there, that remake. Remaster's more appropriate, actually, because that's what I was going to say, is that if you've never played the game before or you feel like you want to play it again, Crisis Core Reunion is probably the best way to play it. They have done a lot of work to pretty it up. It runs beautifully on PS5. The music is all like reorchestrated and enhanced, so it's really good. They've added voice acting to everything, so not like all the scenes have voice acting for the dialogue boxes for the most part, which is pretty good. I'm pretty sure that they're reusing like a lot of the textures and assets for Remake in it. Obviously, the areas are not the same because they didn't really rebuild anything, and the combat is still mostly the same. I think they did some things to tweak some of the DMW and stuff. But for the most part, it's just Crisis Core, but it's a lot prettier. If you are, like I said, interested in the game for the first time, this is a really great way to play it. And as far as I know, it is just Crisis Core again. I don't think there are any major changes to the plot structuring. There are no like new areas or fights or anything as far as I know. It's just the game again with, redone audio and visuals. I think the script may have been tweaked now because it's been several years, but like I said, the animations and stuff are all fundamentally the same. It's obviously, very high quality. Though I do sometimes think that I don't know if they were able to up-res the pre-rendered cutscenes as well. Sometimes I do think like those look a little weird at 60 FPS or whatever. I think the game's hitting 60 FPS. I definitely feel like the frame rate's getting in there. But yeah, it's overall a pretty positive experience. They've definitely done some efforts to make it feel a little bit more like Remake, and playing the game, I can now definitely see that Remake's gameplay was very inspired by Crisis Core, I want to say. In terms of like how Crisis Core works as an action RPG, it's very similar to Remake, but obviously Crisis Core came out on the PSP, and Remake came out on PS4 and then PS5, so Remake is a lot deeper combat-wise. You've got a lot more options and a lot more interesting build stuff. Crisis Core is very simplified to be an action RPG, even compared to other action RPGs Square would have been putting out at that time. Like, I don't think the combat is even as deep as, like, Kingdom Hearts was back in those days, right? So it's pretty straightforward, but they've definitely done something to make sure that this game, if you're right on that Remake hype train, this game will feel right at home. Like, all the status icons where applicable are all the same ones as from Remake. It's all the same new voice actors for Remake that they've done all this stuff for. And overall, it's a pretty good experience. I've been talking about this like off and on over the past week. If your only experience with Final Fantasy VII is through Remake, right? If you're one of the relatively new people to this, I don't know if I can recommend Crisis Core yet. So, on the one hand, the game is a prequel. If you're curious who that black-haired guy from the end of Remake is, if you have no further context on the 7 series, this game is all about him. It's all about Zack. So, he's your main character. So, you'll learn a lot about him. And there's definitely some really interesting stuff with the characterization. You spend, obviously, a lot of time with Zack, and I like how much writing-wise, Zack is definitely deliberately written to be a foil to Cloud. And, in a lot of different ways that it makes sense that we won't get into right now. But it's very interesting to see how Zack handles and feels about everything, as opposed to, you spent like a bajillion hours with Cloud and Remake, so, you got that back and forth. You also get to spend a non-zero amount of time with, stabbing and burning everything Sephiroth, which is, I think very interesting and important to the series. But also, if you play Crisis Core, you are going to spoil yourself on big reveals later in the Remake timeline, assuming that we still go that way, but I'm pretty sure some of those are sticking close because of what we've seen in Remake already. That are like pretty big reveals later down the line that Crisis Core doesn't treat as reveals, because Crisis Core was made with the assumption that you played 7, and Crisis Core Reunion is just Crisis Core. Follow me on that one, everybody? So yeah, it's really interesting. But overall, to talk about my thoughts like story-wise, because this leads into the kind of more general discussion. I don't really have any overall plot thoughts yet because I'm still, in it. Like I said, I'm in chapter 4 somewhere. Yeah, 4. Currently, I am in Hojo's lab, and he is reminding me Shinra Osha does not exist. Oh my god, how the hell has somebody not accidentally or on purpose killed this man? Because he's trying to accidentally on purpose kill all his employees all the time. Jesus Christ, Hojo.
This is correct.
But what I want to say is the pacing of the main story of Crisis Core, to me, feels almost unhinged, cracked out. So the game starts with a well, first of all, I want to point out the game's opening movie is meant to be a very strong, tie to 7, but they just jump you into the opening music with like bombing theme and stuff and showing off a lot of stuff from the opening segment, which is a deliberate recreation of the bombing mission from the start of 7. It's an homage. It even has like the Sector 8 fountain and all that stuff. That's it turns out to be a training simulation, so it's not really happening. It's just, a funny homage they do. And then immediately they're like, okay, cool. You've done great in your training. All right, now go end the Wutai War. All right, cool. The Wutai War's over.
Bye.
You go to one fortress and beat up everybody, and then the war's over. And like that. Of course, Sephiroth gets all the credit. Very disappointing to Zack. But like that's literally like the 1-2 punch of the story. And then, by the way, that's not all the whole plot that we get, because in the break time between when you're training and when you get the Wutai mission, you get a little bit of time to bum around Shinra HQ. You get the word down from Kunsel, who was actually mentioned in Remake, so that's kind of funny. I wonder if they're actually going to bring that back around in the Remake timeline, or if it was just supposed to be a funny haha cameo. But, Zack is like, man, it's really boring around here. It's really dull. Where the fuck is everybody? And Kunsel's like, Zack, didn't you fucking hear? First-class soldier Genesis left and took a bunch of second- and third-class guys with him. Where the fuck have you been? And Zack is just like, I don't know, doing squats. Zack has big himbo energy in Crisis Core. He, does not pay attention to anything at work. He just does squats. And occasionally reads his phone mail. It's very funny, again, because they kept all, the original model animation rigs and stuff. They just upped the textures. Zack is still on his fucking flip phone from 2007.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it makes sense in the context of when you see Remake, there are some Shinra executives with smartphone-type phones, so, tech advanced. It's been a few years. And then, that's... The Genesis defection thing is actually, the A-plot, and it's just an aside comment. It's, the absolute worst, as you know, and I'm just like, wow, this is just freaky. And it seems like it is just running with that. When you're doing main story content, I feel like there's almost no downtime. And when there is, it still feels very, I don't know, weird, very minimal. And then, of course, there are some elements where you do actually get that downtime. But even then, it's really, weirdly fast-paced downtime. We're speed-running characters here. So... Again, I don't remember how many chapters. I don't know how many chapters, I should say, overall are in the game. I'm in 4 earlier. Chapter 4 starts with basically a recreation as Zack of how Cloud ends up meeting Aerith. You get blasted off a reactor. I'm pretty sure it's the Sector 5 reactor both times. You land in Aerith's church. You move on there. You meet up, and then their relationship doesn't really go like that either. But she takes you out to the Sector 5 or 6 markets, which look much more like they did in the original PlayStation 1 Final Fantasy VII. Nothing like how those environments ended up looking in Remake. So, it's not like I said, they didn't redo any map zones or anything. But it's really weird. Every fucking person you run into in the slums is like, oh, hey, Aerith, you found a new dude. Is it your boyfriend? Are you dating? Are you going out? And even Aerith is like, no, what? I just met this guy today. What the fuck are you smoking? Even when we're doing slow-paced downtime shit, I feel like we're trying to just cram as many references and setups to things that happen in Final Fantasy VII as we can. And it's really... I'm not, upset by this. It's just really interesting to me that seems to be the pacing the game is at. I kind of understand why the main story is paced out like that, though, because a lot of the side content, I think where a bulk of the gameplay comes from, is the missions you can do. At save points, you can, do missions that are usually, one little map area things with a bunch of battles and stuff. And you use them to get shit. It's good shit. And so you get extra materia and accessories and gives you a little bit of opportunity to level up your materia and stuff. And lots of other things. You can grind out your materia, which gets you better for materia fusion, get better stuff. I do kind of feel like leveling in the game is still a little weird for me because a lot of it is reliant on DMW, which is cool, and I think they like rebalanced it for the new version. And it's definitely very fun. And because it is randomized, there is so much just crazy shit you can do with really high-res animations. When you bust out a limit break or a summon, those scenes are like really crisp and nice.
Nice.
Yeah. I think you still can get 7s randomly, but your leveling up is based on like how prepared you get. It's a little weird, but as far as I can tell, leveling materia is solely based on if you roll the numbers that are associated with that materia slot, or if you get the Moogle limit break, that motherfucker will level up your materia automatically. It's fucking sick. But yeah, there's a lot of fun, weird stuff you're getting on there. And I almost kind of feel like sometimes the mechanic is wasted because even doing difficult missions, the amount of time it takes for it to spin up the slots and like decide something, a lot of times, even in like missions that are at the appropriate level that I'm doing right now, are like, oh, it's over already. There are times when actually I feel like I'm about to get a combo of numbers, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to stop actually fighting this battle, see what the numbers come up with so I can make sure to lock in, maybe get some experience or something. On the other hand, like, when it's giving you random shit like, free AP, free MP, making you invincible, shit like that, I'm like, it's fun. Like, so it's neat. It just sometimes makes me feel a little weird with, like, actually grinding out all materia, because the game gives you a fuck ton of materia because you can fuse it into different stuff. So I have a lot of shit that's basically useless unless I level it lying around, so. Luckily, there's loads and loads of missions. I'm only about 20% done with them, so there's a lot out there. But this kind of brings me to the like deeper gameplay point I talked about, which is I really feel like I can see kind of where the origin of a lot of like modern mobile, especially like phone game, mobile game design comes from, even for bigger games in Crisis Core, because it absolutely feels like the game designers went in with like, okay, we're making a game on PSP. How do we make this game portable friendly? Well, the missions are just really, really bite-sized content. Like, if you don't care about picking up all the extra treasure chests, you can probably slam jam most missions in like 5 or 10 minutes. If it's a hard mission, maybe more like 15 or 20. And then just the missions are only accessible from save points, so you can immediately go back to a point where you can save the game after you're done with the mission, right? So it flows together very well. And I feel like it's the kind of thing where just like, you're on a train in Japan, you're catching your subway flight, you're commuting, whatever. You're waiting at the doctor's office. You're waiting for your fucking coffee at Starbucks. You whip out your PSP, you jam a couple missions in Crisis Core, you get your shit done, you pack it up and go home. You can immediately save, right? And I think that's why the story flows so rapidly, because they basically don't want to catch you in a moment where they're doing like really, really long story sequences where you can't like pause the game and save it if you're stop doing whatever it is you're doing where you're busting out the portable console with. And that's definitely a style of like pick up and put down gaming you see a lot more now in phone games, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel like, so I brought this up earlier. I didn't own a PSP or a Vita or anything like that. It was just expensive and hard to work in with, also I did own up to a DS. I never got around to a 3DS because shit's expensive, y'all. So my portable gaming experience was, had a Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advanced, Nintendo DS. And I feel like a lot of the games I played on like Game Boy and DS were not necessarily formulated that way. A lot of like Nintendo style ones, they still had the amount of like loads and loads of content you can kind of do whenever. Like I'm thinking back to one of my favorite DS games, Final Fantasy Tactics A2. The amount of quests you can do and then versus the amount you need to actually progress the story are very tiny. Like I've talked about this. I've, easily sunk hundreds of hours into that game over replays. So that part for mobile works very well, but lots of other games are just kind of, they're smaller and more compact, but I didn't feel like they were necessarily designed always for like pick up and play. Obviously, there are some. If you want to go old school, like Tetris has always been a really good pick up and play game. You're just like, I'm gonna play some Tetris. Okay, we're done playing Tetris. But Crisis Core, and now that I'm playing it on a console, I'm like, wow, I really feel like this was a kind of a point, and maybe there were more PSP games and stuff like that in this venue where it really was like, yeah, no, the idea is you're whipping this game out on the train or in a car or whatever, and then you're gonna put it away like 20 minutes from now. Because obviously, you know, we're into FGO and we try out lots of other, you know, phone games, gacha games and stuff. All of those these days feel like they are designed with that in mind, right?
Right.
The idea that like you're just gonna probably be putting this in your back pocket and pulling them out. So it was really interesting to me to like play Crisis Core Reunion and be like, wow, this is really interesting how I feel like this is paced. They didn't, you know, that's a testament to how little about the game they've changed. The game is still paced like a mobile game, even though I'm playing it on my big beefy PS5. And I know, like I said, you've played some PSP games, you know, and other stuff there. And I'm wondering if that is true of other games of that era, or if it's just a coincidence. Sorry. I'm no longer sick, which means sometimes my sinuses still flow again. But yeah, it's just, otherwise, it's just a really interesting bit of, like, history and, like, different game design. Because, like, compared to Remake's pacing, Remake is very, very well paced out. That's, like, actually built to be like, okay, each chapter, these are the events in the chapter, this is what you wanted to do, okay, going, you know. Some chapters are more downtime heavy, some are not. But it's still, you know, getting all over the place there. It's just really interesting. I'm kind of interested if anybody in chat as well, like, agrees with me on this. But yeah, I don't know. If obviously it's been a number of years. I just talked about how it's been like 15 years since the original Crisis Core came out. But if there's any PSP games that you felt were kind of similar in that vein, Lucky, you know?
I'm trying to think. There was actually a lot of, I think, like, I think there definitely was quite a few games like that where things were usually a lot more mission based, so you can do something quickly, and then
yeah, do it fast, call it a day.
Yeah, do it fast, call it a day. But unfortunately, I can't necessarily bring names off the top of my head.
Well, yeah, that's what I said. It's a long reach back, but if you feel like the impression feels right, that's, you know, I'm thinking on the right track.
Yeah.
It is interesting though to kind of talk about that mission thing. That kind of, I think it was Monday when we were talking about the IGN thing. I don't remember if that was on WhatsApp, but IGN did an interview with Armored Core 6. If you don't remember, or it didn't come up on whatever stream you saw. I won't rehash all of it, but they did clearly state, both of the directors did say that the new Armored Core 6 will go back to the original Armored Core's like heavy mission-based focus. You will be in the hangar, pick a mission, do a mission, return to hangar. It's not meant to be open world or open exploration. And I'm jazzed to see how that one turns out. I definitely feel like with the amount of customization which is normal in Armored Core and the amount of customization they are saying Armored Core 6 will still bring, the mission-based and the ability to, you know, return to hangar and do all that stuff makes sense, because as much as I remember when the first rumors came out, you and I spent like 20 or 30 minutes just brainstorming what would Mecha Souls be like. Well, it turns out they're not going to bother. And I think that's honestly for the better. They're trying to kind of retain their core audience here, and they'll just and they'll just bring in new people by virtue of being, I don't know, they're fucking FromSoft. They've won 2 Game of the Year awards. The new director is the guy who did Sekiro as well. So, you know the staff is good. You know the games are good. You'll check it out at least. But it fits better to do this sort of mission style, and I think will serve them better. I know that a lot of games like feel the desire to go open world just because that feels more trendy or technologically impressive.
Mm.
But it's not always necessary. There are plenty of dumb or bad open world games or poorly implemented open worlds. And of course, you can mix the two. Again, like I said, before I got into Crisis Core, I was replaying Metal Gear Solid 5. That's also a very strictly mission-based game, but has open world maps on it. And
I'm pretty sure Metal Gear Acid was kind of mission-based as well. Like, you would do little individual things. Was Daxter mission-based? I don't think Daxter was mission-based, but...
No, but I could see that being a more compact platformer. Because a lot of the other thing that was on PSP was basically... And Vita was, portabilizing games that were available on the PS2. Like, P3 Portable. Which will soon be available hecking everywhere. But that was just, Persona 3, but we slimmed down the world map stuff and, swap some stuff around, just do dungeon crawling. Though that does, obviously, Persona being a time management game does have a strict structure to its, time and stuff as well. So maybe that helps out its pacing, I don't know. I think Daxter was straight up. Hey, Naughty Dog, before you release Last of Us Part 3, this is the rumor, by the way. Rumored they're doing Last of Us Part 3. I don't think that sounds like a great business plan, but whatever. I'm not Naughty Dog, so I don't know. Please look at how successful I'm sure Crisis Core Reunion has been, and release the PS5 version of Daxter, please. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
All right, there we go.
We actually got a portal, and now we're getting our...
Yep, Crisis Core Reunion on PC got an 84 on Metacritic.
Nice.
So it's good. It's doing well. Release Daxter. Release the Daxter cut. We'll buy it.
I'll buy it. I'll definitely buy it.
I mean, I fucking bought all the PS4 downloadable ports of all the other Jak games. I'll do it. Jak 2, Jak 3, Jak X Combat Racing. They're all sitting on my little hard drive thing, so, it's not like I haven't put my money where my mouth is. Naughty Dog. Also, yes, like I said, that is apparently, allegedly, that came out over the last week. There is a rumor that in addition to the factions multiplayer, they are working on a Part 3 to Last of Us. I don't know how well that'll work. I mean, I don't know anything about speed running Jak and Daxter per se. The original Jak and Daxter is not that hard to beat. I don't know anything about like speed running exploits. And I don't want to report myself as anything remotely resembling a speedrunner, but I think I've talked about that before. The idea of as like either a push for extra subs or something, or as a sub reward. I could probably beat the original Jak and Daxter within a single day, basically a single sitting. Obviously with, having to take breaks every once in a while, but it's not that hard of a game. I should actually take a crack at that sometime when I have some free time. Yuck. Remind myself, feel it out. Because I played the original Jak and Daxter a lot. That's my, out of the Jak games, that's my core muscle memory, is playing that game over and over again. But yeah, it is interesting to see kind of philosophy for games moving on, and definitely, like, now that we play a lot of mobile games, it is interesting for me to be like, oh, this game feels like it's designed like a mobile game, and it was, it was a mobile game in the original sense. It was on a portable console, but that's not how we use mobile games. Though obviously, phones these days are as powerful as some old ass consoles. But yeah, I'm having a blast on Crisis Core. Probably get into some deeper plot thoughts once I'm through with it. I, like everybody else in the story, am bouncing back and forth between finding it fucking hilarious and also being completely over the fact that Genesis is constantly quoting this one book of poetry he read. Fucking theater kid.
Oh Jesus, this is an amazing fucking rule. It's either shit or let's just stay there. Just stay there. Just fucking stay. No! No!
Gamba.
Oh! Oh.
Ruined. Da. He moved twice. What the fuck?
Yeah, I know. That's what they do.
Fucking assassin. Assassin outclassing. But yeah, I will probably give you guys my full thoughts, and like I said, if you're looking for like something that is not that tone of writing, don't. The game is the same. I know there was that funny thing about how somebody called out like Nomura's bad writing, but it wasn't actually Nomura who was head writer. He was just the director. He didn't actually write a lot of the dialogue and stuff. But it's definitely interesting to say, and it definitely gives me like thinking about maybe what they're gonna do. I'll see if they ended up tucking any like remake adjacent cameos in there, but I don't think they will. I think it's just Crisis Core. If anything, the fact that Crisis Core Reunion exists and it's going to be in everybody's consciousness does make me wonder what kind of hooks they might tie back into the remake timeline, like with Rebirth and whatever the third game is called.
Namazu.
Because this is something I knew little Yuffie was in Crisis Core. I didn't realize how much. She basically has her own subplot through a certain series of missions you can do, where she spends a lot of time annoying Zack, and I'm like, that actually makes me very curious if, like, because we're re-releasing, Crisis Core in Reunion format, will we bring that up in Rebirth? Because I feel like that would be a very interesting subplot to attach to Yuffie. Obviously, she has her own motivations from the intermission. Man, you got murdered.
Yeah, we only had 3 people. It's supposed to be 8. We can't do it, but
It's rough.
it's rough.
Comma, buddy. But obviously, Yuffie has her own motivations in Remake's timeline through the intermission DLC and other stuff like that. But as one of the 2 optional characters in the original Final Fantasy VII, she didn't have a lot of like extra dialogue for big plot-related sequences and didn't have as many connections to characters. And I know that Nomura and the others at Square worked on using the compilation to kind of flesh out her character. I mean, for comparison, Dirge of Cerberus exists basically only to flesh out Vincent's character because he was also optional. Spoilers, there's no fucking way Vincent Valentine is optional in the remake timeline. He knows too much plot shit. Way too much stuff going on there. But yeah, I'm actually quite curious because I feel like that would actually be a very interesting thing to tie Yuffie in as a character, is to bring up the fact that technically, canonically, she would have known Zack and been a gremlin to him. A terrible gremlin.
Terrible gremlin.
But yeah, there's like I said, lots of interesting stuff. And obviously, I don't fucking know if they'll bring up Genesis again. That was something that was probably going to go somewhere and then didn't because Square had a disagreement with Gact over something. The like double secret ending of Dirge of Cerberus is very much like, no, it's not over yet. The plot's not done yet. It's all going to tie back to Genesis, baby. And then it doesn't. It doesn't go anywhere. It stopped there. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff there. Very very curious about how 7 will work out. I think with the general Crisis Core vibes, a lot of people have been talking about, Rebirth. That is allegedly next year. It might be next year. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of people have said about game design wise that like if your game is working and functional, the things that's usually the easiest to just fucking crank out is assets.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So I have heard people speculate, people in our Discord, and have linked me to videos of like other content creators. I've heard people speculate Rebirth could be as far as Calm to Northern Crater, which seems like a lot of fucking game. I mean, that is basically all of Disc 2, but that in the context of remakes, like level of production value, that seems like a lot of fucking game. I think art-wise, they could probably do it, and obviously they can, record as much dialogue as they need to and whatever. That's not going to probably be too much of a holdbacker there, though the scripts can be quite long. the problem with that is, for me anyway, is I don't think that's as little like engine and tech development time as some people think it is, because like in the original game, we did get 4 party members. You know, we got the original 4. Red is like a semi-functional AI-only party member. The DLC for Yuffie, which came out about a year later, added Yuffie as a playable character. She has her own completely unique moveset and everything. But if we did actually go that span, Calm to North Crater, not only do you have to actually put Yuffie in the game, but then that's all the other 4 remaining party members, which is probably feasible. Like I said, that's as many playable party members as were in the original game's release, but they also have to all actually be different than the 5 party members have come before. So that's going to be Red 13, Cait Sith, Vincent, and Cid. I would love to get all those 4 characters in the game in the breadth of a single release, right? But damn, that sounds like a lot of fucking game. I don't know. Whatever. We'll see trailers probably later this year. I think Square's probably going to focus marketing-wise. Now that Crisis Core is out, they're going to focus on 16, which is itself going to be a hike of a trip. We're getting dribbles and drabbles of all the big facts for 16 already, all the stuff they want to put in the press pre-release. I don't think we talked about on stream. We've talked in our own personal time about 16 Cid.
Yeah.
Sidolphus. And he is the assigned to Ramuh.
Yep. Ramuh.
Oh no, you can't cut Cid. One, how am I gonna get my Speedboy action? Axe, I need to jump. I'm addicted to jumping now.
Truly high on life. Life on high.
But also, I mean, I guess you could cut Cid as a playable character, but I think that would be a disservice to just fun game design, because Cid is your only spear boy in the game. He's the only one with the Dragoon type moveset, which I would love to see them, having been mainlining Dragoon for 14. I would love to see how they would handle that in 7 remakes, like combat style. Plus, he throws dynamite, guys. Did you forget about that? That's one of his moves. One of his limit breaks is just fucking dynamite. But Cid is an essential character to the plot. You cannot have the plot of 7, even in the remake timeline, without Cid, because, like, he is a very important character to what Shinra tries to do in Rocket Town. He is the pilot and owner of the Little Bronco, which is technically plot important later. I mean, I guess they could rewrite him out of that, but he is also the captain of the Highwind, which is going to be very important. I don't know if they'll get the Highwind in the second game.
I don't know. Maybe they'll just like demote him to like an NPC or something.
I could see, again, depending on where the pacing ends up, I could see Cid being like Red 13 was in the first game, where he's like an NPC ally, but he's not a full playable character until the third game, because he doesn't really do a lot plot-wise right away. Like, the primary thing is, like, you go to Rocket Town, you do all the Rocket Town stuff. I'm sure that will be fucking crazy and insane and nutso. God, Palmer boss fight in the fucking remake engine. That's going to be weird. But he allegedly helps you fly the tiny Bronco to the remote continent where the Temple of the Ancients is. So he's present through Temple of the Ancients, but he doesn't really add anything to the conversation. And then after it's... If I remember rightly, it's been years since I played the original 7, but if I remember rightly, it's Temple of the Ancients, the City of the Ancients, the Lost Forest and stuff, and then basically the whole North Crater line there. Which, by the way, that is an emotional motherfucker of a timeline. That's gonna be if we get all that content all in one game right away, and that's the climax of a remake style game. This is gonna be a fucking emotional roller coaster. But like, Cid doesn't actively contribute to any of those plot points after the Rocket Town bit. It's not really until the Disc 3 stuff, which again, I won't necessarily spoil people on all the beats if, like I said, you're only getting into Final Fantasy VII through the remake timeline, but once we actually get the high wind, which isn't until that post North Crater part, he doesn't get like super involved in the plot as like taking leads and like directing us to do certain things until then. So yeah, I could kind of see the suggestion that maybe he's not fully playable right when the game comes out. Like he might be the one they put off for the third game.
Like, honestly,
but I don't know. We'll see.
Like, I guess, because I can say the kind of same thing. Like, to me, like, honestly, it feels very weird. But honestly, I feel like the more I look about Final Fantasy VII, I really don't feel that like half the cast actually have much. Well, they have stakes, but not in the same sort of way. Like,
Yeah.
God, this is a spoiler, but I'm gonna say it fucking anyway because I think it's very important. Like, Cait Sith has a lot at stake in this game. Because, he's being actually, piloted by fucking Sang. But at the same time...
No, Reeve.
Reeve, my bad.
Yeah. It's okay, there's a lot of Shinra characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shinra characters. Being piloted by Reeve, but, well, I should make this... But that means, so he's basically this spy character, but he doesn't actually have, like, to do much with, like, actual, like in combat and whatnot, he doesn't like necessarily has like fucking God, I had a point and I am losing it.
Well, you're doing a lot of spinning and stuff.
I am doing a lot of spinning.
If I can pick up on what you're putting down. Cait Sith is a very interesting character. Because Cait Sith is just Reeve, he is a very integral character to the story because he gives us like an opportunity for like sympathetic characters in Shinra and like behind the scenes shit that we're used to. And he does have some key plot scenes. In between those key plot scenes, Cait Sith doesn't really do anything in the game.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, he's part of like the Gold Saucer the first and second time as a character to like tell you where to go and what to do and like pick up on some weird shit. And he comes back in some of the Disc 3 stuff because we just outright like, yeah, we know you work for Shinra now, Cait Sith. But again, in between all those segments, he doesn't really do a lot. I mean, on the one hand, because I think this was another thing it sounded like you were alluding to, and tell me if I'm wrong, but on the one hand, I'd love to see what they would do with Cait Sith and Mog as characters in the way the action RPG is set up. But also, I could totally see him not being a combat character.
Yeah,
because he doesn't have to be.
I'm perfectly okay if they like put like a few of these characters just on like a backline or a support list where you don't actually have to worry about leveling them. They just maybe do what like Red 13 does, and you don't control them, and they just maybe do stuff. Maybe you can have like 3 party members and a support, and each support character does something different. And I'd be completely okay with that. We do not need to give everyone giant mechanics to do that, but like. Vincent's is too important to the plot, though, I think. Especially, like...
Yeah. Like... Alright, okay. If you're new to 7, cover your ears.
Please.
But, like, okay. I say this as one of the small handful of Dirge of Cerberus stands out there. I had a great time with that game. It's fucking 2000s edgy anime as fuck. I love it.
I love it.
It's great. Even though there's a lot of goofy shit in it. And some of that goofy shit is probably due to maybe a very ham-fisted translation as well. I'd love to see them like do the remaster, like they did with Crisis Core, just to see what they would do. But obviously, there is some heavy Vincent stuff in that's set up that we are clearly referencing because Deep Ground is in the remake timeline now. Fucking Nero the Sable is the last boss of the Yuffie DLC. It's unavoidable. We're referencing Dirge of Cerberus here, and G-type soldiers and shit. Hell, the remake itself deeply implies that Deep Ground is real because there's that underground lab you find for some of those extra chapters. So, like, on the one hand, that means that Vincent and stuff are like is tied into the concept of the weapons and the other, like heavy-duty planet backstory shit because they retconned Chaos as Chaos Weapon. But also, Vincent's backstory, like, Vincent used to be a Turk. He used to be a Turk who worked closely with Lucrezia, who worked closely with Professor Hojo. And all that set up, he was kind of doing a thing with Lucrezia, but maybe they weren't doing a thing, and then she ends up with Hojo. Don't ask me how that works. Um, and so he's really tied to that. Well, hey, guess what? Lucrezia is Sephiroth's actual mom. That's his birth mother.
Yeah.
So, like, and there's so much in that, like, I feel like the remake timeline has to unpack, because it's a thing that's very subtle, because Vincent is an optional character, but it's really important to, like, the overall timeline and shit. Also, please, remake, do not deny me the fucking showdown of I want a goddamn, remake style boss battle, just 1v1 Hojo v Vincent on top of the Sister Ray, okay? I need that shit.
No, we gotta make them. We gotta turn it into the fucking 16 kaiju battle between them.
Well, I posted what transformed. He was called Heletic Hojo in the translation. I think it's supposed to be Heretic Hojo, but he gets real goopy in his boss fight. Real gross. I'm sure that the remake team, the 7 remake team, could do a lot with that. But yeah.
What was fucking
Also
Vincent's final limit break called? Was it Chaos?
Yeah, it was Chaos. That's his last one. He just becomes Chaos.
I mean, listen, you want fucking Chaos versus the Heretic.
Yeah, no, it'll be pretty rad. Plus, in the original 7, his Chaos design is just how Chaos looks in the old school games. But for Dirge, they went out of their way to make it look more Vincent-like. And again, I'm sure they could do some crazy shit there. And that's also the other thing. I really want them to do Vincent, because I think as a playable character, Vincent probably would have the craziest moveset in the new game, because he should be a ranged character, kind of like Aerith, and kind of like how Yuffie is, but he should be a physical ranged character because he uses guns. But like Barret, basically, you know.
I was about to say, I'm like, why are you going with Aerith when we have a guy?
Yeah, I don't know why I forgot Barret. That's much better. Sorry, in my mind, I can only think of, because it's funnier, Barrett's weird melee weapon combos, like where he gets the big claw. But no, that's not Barret. Like, honestly, Barrett's primary role is the
I'm not gonna lie, I had my dream last night. I don't know why, I was thinking about fucking Barrett's fucking cannonball fucking weapon.
We have a lot of fun with the joke weapons.
Yeah.
I hope, I'm pretty sure one of Aerith's joke weapons is the parasol. I hope that comes back. But yeah, Vincent should be basically another Barret, but probably with different mechanics. And his like triangle button weird thing should be his different transformations, the Galleon Beast and the Frankenstein Stand and shit like that. That probably like switches him from being I don't even remember what his third limit break was called, but that's the one where he turns into Jason Voorhees with a chainsaw. Like, so his thing should be when you do his triangle commands, those should like change you into a melee monster form for a little bit or something. So that I think he would be very, very variable. Like I said, I think Sid would be cool for them to like do a Dragoon type character in this engine. He's probably not essential as a playable character. I just want to throw dynamite at people. But I will say, as a character, Sid is essential. He has to be in the game. He has to tell me to sit down and drink my goddamn tea. Otherwise, this game will not be complete. But yeah, chat, earmuffs off. But yeah, there's a lot going on with Vincent that I think we can tie into. And I do kind of feel like they already set up for some of that because, like I said, Yuffie is another optional character. But they already did so much, both in the original remake with, obviously, the heavy focus on the war with Wutai and how that actually, like, plays into the politics of Shinra and 7. And then with intermission setting it up. I just do, like I said, I hope that they, like, bring back up some of this stuff. This is not even getting to the account for the fact that because Remake did slightly alter the timeline, there may actually be extra characters. I assume what they're probably going to do is they're probably going to pull out the PHS, because that's when you get the PHS at Calm, because you're in the world map. So they probably won't make it so that you can have more than 3 characters at a time in a fight, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't just give you a button on your main menu for the party help system, the party handy phone, where you just push it and you just freely swap any 3 party members, like, out of combat. Because I think the engine could support that, and that could let you do some really interesting things, because the thing about the original remake is because you don't have access to the PHS, and a lot of the time you're splitting the party, your party picks are very forced in 7 Remake, and that means you kind of gotta, like, switch everybody around and do a lot of, like, generalized shit, even though there's a lot of stuff for really weird, fun niche builds that you can do. So I hope that they let you just freeball switch party members in Rebirth and on, so that you can actually like specialize your characters and then just be like, okay, I feel like doing this for a little bit. Let's, switch everybody up. Or, oh, geez, there's a lot of like flying enemies and stuff right now. Let me get all my ranged characters in. Let me build a team that's Yuffie, Aerith, and Barret. Ah, yes, my favorite ranged characters. And then if we start with Red 13, then of course that can be your third melee guy. So, works out. So yeah, they should hopefully able to do that with the thing. And we'll see. I know some people are like, ooh, maybe we can get like team up attacks or like, tag in attacks. I don't know if we'll go that far.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the combat of 7 Remake, while it's very in-depth, it's also very like fixed and pre-planned. I don't know if they're going to go that far. They might to like switch up some of the stuff, but I still feel like there's so much they could do like with the materia systems and stuff to keep it fresh. Like we haven't gotten to like half the different kinds of magic you can do. There's only like 4 enemy skills in Remake. I assume that list's just going to grow every new game.
I am curious to see what they're going to do with carrying over data and whatnot.
Yeah, that's another thing that we're all interested in. Obviously, because they did the generation switch, the console generation switch. There's already a built-in feature to like upload your 7 Remake data into a cloud somewhere to re-download it as the next gen version. So I would assume there could be some kind of save data checking system in Rebirth. The question is just how they're going to do that. Like, what's the level cap in 7 Remake? 50, I think? Chat, do you know? I think it's 50. I don't know if they're going to, like, just straight up, like, increase the level cap. Are they going to reset everybody to, like, level 10 and maybe reset the level cap? I don't know. It probably does really depend on the thing we were talking about earlier with how long the game is. If the game is indeed, as some people have predicted, and I want to say this, I think this is the maximum length the game could go. Rebirth will not go past Northern Crater. It's a question of will they go that far. They would probably want to increase the level cap because they want to make sure that you don't, like, hit the level cap normally. Because obviously 7 Remake has, like, hard mode and like, optional shit that's only available in post-game as well, so...
I forget, what was the average level that people beat the first one on, Remake on?
Oh, I don't remember.
Was it, between, like, 30 to 40?
Yeah, I think it was, like, between 30 and 40. That definitely feels like where I hit the end.
No, then they're probably, like, honestly, what they probably do is they'll probably just raise up the cap to, like, 75 for the second game.
Yeah, and just either import your save data or drop you in at, like, level 30.
Yeah.
Round everybody's stats to level 30. The primary thing I'm concerned about is maybe materia and weapons. At the same time, I can totally see them resetting them because they can be like, well, there's no way to prove that you got them between games. But also, I feel like that would give you a fuck ton of like choice paralysis if you literally got like all 8 of your weapons back at the start of a new game. You'd be like, fuck, I gotta level this shit again. What the fuck was I doing? Can I reset? Can I respec yet? But I do hope they don't start us with literally nothing again. I don't want to go back to just, here's basic bitch fire and cure. I got a little extra spice materia for pre-ordering Crisis Core, so that gave me some extra stuff to do. I had access to Dark Thunder and Fire and Blizzard.
So dark.
Now, mostly it's just, hey, do you want to do Thunder but also do debuffs? Yes, actually. Fucking love that.
Yes.
Especially when the debuffs are pretty good. I think it's like each of them has a chance to do like silence, poison, and stun.
Damn.
Yeah, no, it's pretty brutal. I haven't actually seen them. I have a mission to unlock the Hell tier material, but that's still a little rough for me. I need to progress story more and get some grind on. But yeah, I've seen that they go up to Hell. Which again, that reminds me that like the 7 Remake line has a lot they can still do with materia. Like, and not only are there elements and types of damage we don't even get into, there's no there are items that do the gravity effect, but there's no gravity materia, right?
Yeah.
There's a wide variety of summons we haven't gotten to yet. Obviously they did front load a lot of summons into the game, but there's still even more so that we could get out there. Obviously, talking about Vincent, that's that boss fight that unlocks Vincent is how you get the Odin materia. Could totally see that as coming back again. There's, you know, at least 2 more tiers of Bahamut we can get. Shit like that.
And then you get the third Bahamut. I mean, not the third Bahamut. You have to get. Is it? I forget. Is it? You have to get the first 2 Bahamuts and then you get the third Bahamut.
I think the last Bahamut is tied to one of the huge materia.
Yeah, I think that's Neo Bahamut.
Let me actually. Yeah, it might be. Hold on.
And I think only if you have Bahamut and Neo Bahamut can you get Bahamut 0. I think.
Let me check. I'm going to click Summon Materia. Summon Materia 7. Okay. Regular Bahamut. Temple of the Ancients after picking up Red Dragon can be missed. Neo Bahamut. Found in Whirlwind Maze can be missed. Bahamut 0. Ah, yes, you are correct. Cosmo Canyon, Blue Huge Materia if you have both Bahamut and Neo Bahamut.
Oh, okay, so, okay.
You can also get it from the Bone Village Archaeology minigame if you miss it. But yeah, Bahamut 0 is that. And I think we've read this list before, but there are indeed, like, quite a lot that they haven't even gotten to in-game. Like, there's, Titan, Odin, Kajata.
Kajata?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
The bull Tetra disaster. That one was hard to get, I think. That's, yeah, found in the Sleeping Forest. You can miss it. Alexander, Phoenix, Hades.
Wait, is Sleeping
Typhon.
Forest the place that happens after you beat after you beat Ultima Weapon?
No, the Sleeping Forest is that's the weird maze area north of Bone Village. That's how you get to the city of the ancients.
Oh, okay. Then it must be. No, wait. Hades you find at the bottom in the sub,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, found in the sunken Galnica.
Then which one is it? Which one's the one that you find in the forest that you can only access after Ultimate Weapon crashes there? Is it Typhon?
Is that Gongon? Maybe Typhon. Let me check. Where's Typhon? Yeah, found in the ancient forest.
Okay, that's what it is. Okay, so it's called the Ancient Forest. All right.
Yes, hidden location. When Ultimate Weapon is defeated, it leaves a crater there.
Okay.
Leaves a crater. You can get to that place. Yeah, so that's the one. And obviously, Knights of the Round.
Knights of the Round.
Which I assume that they have to include in this game somehow. I don't know how. Might not be until the third game.
It's probably gonna be the third game, honestly.
Yeah. But in addition to making you acquire or reacquire all of the old summons, by the way, I did not list Ramuh in there, but that's because they added Ramuh in the DLC. That's the one summon you get in Yuffie's mission. So they did put him in the game. He was going to be in the original one, but he wasn't ready on launch date, so they saved it for the DLC. Presumably he'll be in the second one. And a lot of these are pretty interesting because, like, Titan is from Gongaga Reactor. Yes, everybody post your me Gongaga memes.
Gongaga.
Haven't seen that theme and haven't seen that scene in the game yet, but we'll get there. Odin is in Nibelheim when you fight Lost Number.
That was a scary fight. I never liked that fight.
Lost Number's fucking weird. Well, it's because he either goes to magic resistance or damage resistance. Well, I am sure that they, like I said, they are gonna force you to do all that bonus shit in Shinra Mansion. Shinra Manor, and you're probably gonna have to fight Lost Number, and it's gonna be freaky this time. It's gonna be fucking weird, wild, wacky. We're gonna do some shit to you. Kujata's in a sleeping forest. Yeah, it's the big bull one. I believe this one's easy to miss because it like it's just a little red dot in the screen and you can miss it. You can like literally not see it. It's
Alexander's in the fucking.
his ability
is
is
in the snow for like in the northern mountain area, right?
Alexander, yeah.
Okay.
That's optional, but you got to go out of your way to get it. But yes, you find it at the Great Glacier.
Great Grace, yeah, I know it's a snow place. Like, I'm trying to test my fucking remembrance of where all these things are, because I haven't played 7 in literally like 15 years, I want to say.
Yep. It's been a while. I've been saying I own it on modern consoles, but it's been a long time since I played it.
It's been a while.
The original Phoenix materia was
that was
Fort Condor.
Yeah, after you do the mini game / not mini game,
Yeah.
you actually did have to defend the fort.
Yeah. That is another thing that I'm very curious how they're going to handle in Remake, because the actual tower defense game was a mini game. Like, it's a canonical board game as of the intermission DLC. That's one of the new mini games you can do, is challenge people to Fort Condor. It's fucking rad. It plays the music and everything, but it also makes me go like, wait, so are we going to do actual Fort Condor in game? I assume we will.
I mean, if they
It's
just
tied
have the
into the
mini game, they
Hyperion
could just
shit.
do a version where it's just realistic.
Yeah, I guess they could, like, we could use that as the setup for, like, okay, you know, though that, I hope that is what we do, because that is just so fucking like Shinra Electric Power Company. Yeah, you know this war we're doing to, like, retake one of our reactors? We turned it into a fucking game with miniatures you can buy that have different rarities. It's like a fucking gacha game. Buy blind boxes. God damn it, Shinra.
God damn it. God damn it, Shinra.
That's how I feel a lot of the time. Like I said, this latest interaction with Hojo. Zack is like, this sample chamber's empty. Hojo's like, no, there should be something in there. Why don't you go inside and look? And Zack's like, I don't know. Dumbass still gets in the chamber, and Hojo closes it, and he's like, hey, don't you want to be stronger? Zack's like, no, not really. Let me out. Too bad. I'm going to quiz ya. Fuck. God damn it, Hojo. How have you lived this long? There's so many bottomless pits and no rails in Shinra. How have you not fallen into something?
There are only some problems that can only be solved with a swift kick off a short ledge.
I mean, you know, going back to our earlier point, if past Vincent had just plugged Hojo when he felt like it the first time, I'm sure there were many times he felt like it. The plot wouldn't exist. We'd all be fine. God damn it, Vincent. Why are you such a weird, Byronic hero? Such a wuss. Such a literal cuck, just staring at your girlfriend, chasing Crystal. You doofus. You buffoon. Great fashion sense, though. But
Yeah, word of Warren Tavern. Do not pine from your love from afar, otherwise you might get involved in a fucking genetic experience that might doom the world. Go for it, guys.
Yeah. At the very least, if you see a girl you like hanging out with a dude who's pretty toxic, you should let her know, right? Like, at least if you're friends, let her know that dude's no good. Or guy, you know, or lady, whatever. Like, if you see somebody go for something toxic, no, make sure to follow up on that. And follow up better than Vincent did. Don't let Professor Hojo shoot you in the face and doom you to live in a coffin forever. That's why Vincent wears the head bandage. Hojo, no joke, no cap, Hojo shot him in the face. And Lucrezia was like, well, Vincent's gonna die. Better infuse him with this ancient summon materia and hope he lives. Bye. Everybody involved in that relationship is just fucking terrible. They all suck. Oh, there's a lot of that going on in the Seven backstory. There's a lot of terrible people. But there's also some fun people.
How do we adult? We don't know.
But yeah, there's a lot of summon materials that are going to be pretty fun to get to.
I'm excited.
I'm also very curious if... So, the original remake game, there's just the 4 elements, right? There's, it's fire, ice, lightning, and wind. And wind is not used very much. But in the original game, there's still, let me see. I'm looking through the list. There's definitely Quake, which they didn't do. Oh, and technically in Remake, there is the poison materia does exist. You can cast Bio. That is non-elemental damage, magic damage, which is pretty good. But we don't have any access to Quake, which if they are going to do Titan, I assume they would have to do something. That might just be another...
Non-physical?
I could see them doing Earth as a non-elemental magic damage.
Yeah, no.
Gravity is obviously, because there are items that do the gravity thing, which the Demi thing to, like, deal percentage HPs. That will probably just be a material you can equip instead of a consendable item. No access to Comet. Don't know if we'll do that one. Comet was kind of weird. That was just also just big non-elemental damage. Oh, yeah, the contain materia. How does that work?
I don't know.
That gives you access to freeze, break, tornado, and flare. Oh, okay. So that's freeze is big damage ice with a chance to stop, big damage earth with a chance to petrify, big damage wind with a chance to confuse, or just flare is just big fire damage. I could see that coming back. And of course, Ultima.
Ultima. Oh man, doing that train mission might be fucking wild.
Oh yeah, they're gonna do something crazy with that. Like, from what I can pick up from the interviews with Remake, I know we've been talking about this a lot, but and we got some other stuff in the can. But we like the Remake thing, and it's really fun to speculate. But from what I understand of what they've said with interviews, you can basically imagine everything that was a set piece in the original 7 will still be a set piece in the Remake timeline. But it's going to be a set piece in the Remake timeline, which is going to be fucking nuts. Like, you're going to do the submarine mission again. It'll be a whole thing. Just like they brought back the fucking motorcycle segments. Hell, they might make you do multiple submarine sections. I expect that somehow snowboarding will be involved.
I'm trapped, save me!
And the train, will be a thing.
The officer's like, bye, Lucky.
What? But yeah, so there's a couple different magic materials we can catch up on. There's all kinds of action stuff. Could be pretty fun. So yeah, there's still plenty of gameplay stuff for them to explore. Not to mention all the weird, crazy boss fights. Like I've said this before, Gungaga's going to also be non-optional in Remake for certain, because that has a lot of behind-the-scenes plot stuff going on that needs to be addressed. And there's a certain mob in the Gungaga reactor who's very iconic because of how fucking silly he is. It's the Triceratops with tank treads. You know that motherfucker's going to be a boss. That's going to be Hell House 2.0. And I'm here for it. If they want to be really on the spot, that's when you would get the Titan materia as well. Because that's where you get it in the first game.
I mean, I'm here for it.
In general, there's a lot of stuff that I'm just here for.
Ugh.
God, there's so many characters they introduced too. We haven't even met all the Turks yet. Elena's not in Remake.
Well, no, he only gets added after. But no, like Crisis Core is actually the thing that I think that really puts like the Turks into a lot of perspective. And unfortunately, we don't have the. They had the mobile game for the Turks, but I don't think that ever came over.
No. That one's probably a bit of a big ask. I don't know if they have hardware that can like run that original game anymore, because it was on flip phones back in the day. Which one was that one? Before Crisis, I think was the name.
Can we just get like a fucking Oh, of course we're doing Battle on the Big Bridge. Can we just get a fucking like a text dump or something? That might be good.
Yeah, turn into a novelization or an anime or something. I don't know, Square. You can do all kinds of shit. Give me something that makes context.
Because some of the characters that we saw in Remake were from some of that side content.
Yeah. That's where Kyrie is. That's where What's-His-Face is. I'm not paying that close of attention if it's spoilers law. I have 5 tabs open right now.
Yeah, like, because the whole thing with the Dawn and stuff is, is spicy.
Yeah. Which I believe was part of the plot of Before Crisis. They do actually in Remake talk about how at least one cell of Avalanche tried to assassinate President Shinra once.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of things going on there. And we may see some of that in Ever Crisis. That got delayed. That was originally supposed to launch this year around the same time as Crisis Core Reunion, but they pushed it back. But I believe it was a message from Tetsuya Nomura, but somebody at Square was like, no, we're still working on Ever Crisis, which is supposed to be like a retelling of all the compilation stories in an episodic format, with everything being the classic turn-based RPG format. So we'll see how that pans out. That could definitely cover some of the things, especially if it's mostly or entirely free to play. I know they said they're going to have like a costume gacha to like cover it monetarily. So they might, do the normal stuff. But there's still so much that we haven't even fucking, like I said, touched on. Like them doing the re-release of Crisis Core is pretty big, but that's still only like one thing out of so many things. There are multiple like light novels and shit. There's obviously like Before Crisis is a big
Oh,
one.
that's what it's called. I knew it was like the kids or something. Yeah, it's Final Fantasy 70 Kids Are All Right, a Turk side story. That's
Yep.
what it was. Okay.
Yeah. And as I believe I said earlier, but I will reiterate, the naming convention for the compilation of Final Fantasy VII, absolutely insane. It's crazy. Before Crisis, Crisis Core, Advent Children. Hell, even remakes going this route with remake, rebirth, and then whatever the final re will be.
Revive.
Probably.
Renewal. There's a lot of...
Yeah, it's just funny that they used Reunion for Crisis Core, the Crisis Core remaster. I assume that means they're not going to do that for the third remake game, even though that would probably be appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Reunion's a very loaded word, chat. But yeah, no, it's just I'm glad that even after it's been like 2 or 3 years since remake came out. Even after all that time, like I can still feel jazzed to be like, yeah, I'm excited about Final Fantasy VII again. This is how it was like when I was a kid, like when the compilation stuff was coming out, you know, when Advent Children released and when Crisis Core was coming out. I was like, frick yeah, Final Fantasy VII. I remember that game. That's rad.
Okay, so apparently they did turn it into a light novel. Interesting.
Oh, well, hopefully we can get some fucking translation jumps. Oh, that's actually a really interesting thought, Axe. They could do that. They could make Advent Children playable.
Oh, no, actually,
That'd be a funny, like, weird postscript or DLC.
Okay, no, I take it back. It was originally released in 2011, but they did do an English release in January 2019. So it is out in English.
Okay, well, that's cool. I should track that down.
I am gonna track this down.
I think I have, because they've only, Square has only recently started doing this, but I believe the Final Fantasy VII Remake Ultimania guide is available in English for like once. I need to pick that up. Yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake material Ultimania is actually a thing. And I definitely need to pick that up because that's got all that extra sweet, spicy bonus material.
Bonus.
But I am glad to see that Square has actually started like realizing there's a lot going on there to pick up in the broader audience. And obviously that is something that has been talked about with 16 and 16's kind of style and marketing. You know, they very explicitly said that they cannot make enough money to stay making these games at the scale they are making them if they try and market only to Japan first. So they are actually aiming on making, you know, more worldwide accessible games. Oh, what's this? Hold on. Just checking my news. I'm seeing a news article titled Horizon Multiplayer Project Confirmed. So let's see. Guerrilla Games has confirmed they're working on a multiplayer Horizon with a dynamic open world, a narrative. Let's see. They've got job openings, world designer, machine combat designer, lead combat designer, narrative designer. Okay, so yeah, that's neat. Apparently we're planning a Horizon spin-off that will actually be multiplayer and will be co-op modeled.
Sick.
That's neat. I think we talked about that with Forbidden West. Co-op Horizon would be fucking rad. But yeah, that is actually, funnily enough, a decent springboard to talk about the PlayStation wrap-up. Because, hey guys, Horizon Forbidden West's in my top 5. So we can finagle that one if Lucky's down to clown with that topic change.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Can I? Yes. I can retweet some of these things. It's always concerning the internet. Can I retweet this? Is it a good idea? But yeah, so I don't remember how long PlayStation Network's been doing this, but they have a little lovely recap feature like a lot of services do these years, days, whatever. So they collate a lot of your stuff. And it's always really interesting to stat crunch some of these. And I thought it might be an interesting springboard because I felt interesting to see that some of these were actually logged the way they were.
Mm-hmm.
So on PlayStation officially logged in, Sony tracked me as having played 37 games. That's about 20% more games. And my top 5 was number 1, Cyberpunk 2077 logged me with 207 hours. It's about twice as many hours as I thought I logged in that game, but also not surprising. I think I did play some of it earlier this year when I first talked about new patches, like 1.5 into 1.6 and stuff. Yeah, that's a lot of game. I told you, I think it was last week, that would probably be my game of the year again. Also shocking, nobody taking up a astonishing 14% of my percentage time. Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, that was 156 hours. It came out in like March. I have been playing it a lot off and on. They get me to log in all the time. And I did talk about this. PlayStation probably tracks the time that includes the parts where I'm, having to have my connection bounce back and forth between servers and waiting for people to play the game. So I'm not shocked that is like number 2 with an overinflated play count there. But yeah, that's not surprising. As much as I yell about Master Duel Online a lot, it's still the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Simulator there is, and it does, actually have stuff you can do single player versus people. Now, this is kind of funny because this game is mostly multiplayer, and this is my number 1 multiplayer game this year. But I do also really love this game. My number 3 was Aliens Fireteam Elite.
Damn.
81 hours logged. And I still haven't bought the DLC for that either, which includes new maps and missions. Probably got to be doing that sometime. It's pretty fun. With exactly 80 hours was also Saints Row as my number 4. And then Horizon Forbidden West was 74 hours. Doesn't shock me. That was my big one. I expect that, given how things shake out, I'm predicting for next year, Cyberpunk's going to show up again. I don't know if it'll be number 1, but they're releasing Phantom Liberty next year, so it's going to come back. In case anybody is wondering why I am so nettled by like how the general populace and the media have treated Cyberpunk, it's because I've played a fuck ton of that game and I'm having fun, guys. I think I have to have like 300 or 400 hours in this game, easy, no problem. The interesting thing was, I'm like surprised and not surprised about Aliens. I did really like that game, and I played it a lot. Once I, like, max leveled all my guys and bought all my guns, I didn't really have a lot to go back to, like I said. But there is a X-Pack DLC that I should look into sometime when I'm not playing a shitload of other games. I'm not really shocked about Saints Row or Forbidden West. Those were bigger games in the release, and I did play them pretty decently. I feel like I got my money's worth on Saints Row with the 80 hours. Mm-hmm. I was a little surprised on your top 5.
Really?
That you actually had more hours in Saints Row than I did. But I guess you did have some like soft locks and had to reset a couple of times.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I played Saints Row pretty thoroughly. They've done some patches. I should go back and double check that I've checked off a lot of my activities.
Let's see here. My top 5 were, Neo 2. I played 221 hours of that. And like,
so I feel like we should contextualize that a little bit. So I put about 200 hours in Cyberpunk over the course of this entire year. You put your 200 hours into Neo 2 over about a month?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. I knew it would be Neo 2 would be your top game. You seemed a little surprised, but I felt like that was what it was going to be.
Yeah, let's see. And then Horizon Forbidden West is number 2 with 132 hours. Fallout 4 at 130 hours. Cyberpunk, number 4, 124 hours. And then Saints Row, 120 hours. Man, really? Did I put as much time into Cyber? Well, I guess I got...
I believe, didn't you start a second run, or did you finish out another character?
I started a second run.
That sounds about right. Like, mine is 200 because I basically started 2 new characters over the course of this year. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, that tracks.
Yeah, let's see. Over a total of 2022, I played 35 games total. Let's see here. My favorite genre was role-playing games. No surprise there.
Mine was FPS. Again, I think that's mostly because of the Cyberpunk waiting, because it's only 232 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me see here.
I was a little... When you read that out there again, I was a little surprised by the large number on Fallout 4, but I do feel like you did at least play through all of that game, even though you yelled at it a lot.
Well, yeah, I did, like, at its core, like, at its concept, Fallout 4 is a game I can get behind. Like, I like, you know, FPS games, and, you know, I like, you know, having lots of gear, and I like base building. Fallout 4 technically has all of that. It's just how it's executed that makes me go, ooh.
Yeah.
And, you know, I wanted to give the game its fair due, so I did just do a lot of running around and, like, trying to finagle things and see if I can make it, quote-unquote, work. I just could not. Listen, I'm really good at when I'm into a game, like, I am good at just zoning the fuck in. Like, especially when it comes to, like, games where they have, like, do base building, or I have to worry about builds and whatnot. Like, that's probably, like, another one of the reasons why I'm so, like, down on Nioh 2, because, like, even though it doesn't have any base building or anything of the sort like that, you have to be, like, you don't have to be super finicky about your build, but I try to be a little bit finicky about my build. You know, so I'm always putting, like, I'm working on, or I'm always have my next objective, like, I need to find this next piece, or I need to make enough money so I can work on that piece, and bleedy blah bleedy blue. So it's easy for me to get sucked in and just while away the hours playing it. Like, honestly,
And I definitely feel like you, I mean, we both do, but if you look at that list, you definitely like a lot of those while away the hours type games. Like, not necessarily open world, but definitely, like, got some expansive maps to explore, got some builds to fine-tune, got some gear to fuck with.
Well, it's my love of, like, games like, you know, like life simulation games. Like, I'll play those all day, every day. And I think that's, like, a big indicator of my character and whatnot. Combat's fun and all, but do I get to, like, have a life? Hell yeah. But, I was gonna say something before that, and I completely lost my train of thought. I don't remember.
I clicked on my trophy thing, and it's funny. Apparently, they're still updating this data, because it's my first trophy ever was in 2009, chat, and it was in Fallout 3. And then it's got my trophy from at least a couple days ago. So it's not 100% up to date, but it's still checking in from Crisis Core, so it's tracking.
Mine will probably be Callisto Protocol again, because I did pick that back up again. I didn't reinstall it after I rage quit. I'm playing it currently on minimum security, which is its easy mode. And it is an easy mode. I get slapped around still quite a few times, but my health doesn't go down much. I'm just like, neat. And then I run into something, it hits me twice, and then I'm down to the red. I'm all like, what would have happened if I got hit with that on normal? Explain, game?
You'd be dead.
I'd be dead.
Killed him. Killed him to death.
So, I don't know. I might go back to Nioh. Like, I'm gonna be real. When I realized that, like, Nioh 2 was my most played game in like a month and a half of playing it, I was a little concerned about myself. I'm just like, what? Little self-conscious, if you would. Oh.
I mean, I can kind of see that. Seeing it as my my number one game definitely didn't make me go like, well, I'm in a rush to go back to, like, it didn't give me a vibe like, oh boy, I really played a lot of Cyberpunk, I should get back to playing that. It's like, man, I play a lot of Cyberpunk. That number's going to be big next year as well. It do be like that. I don't know if I want to say exactly how many hours I played or not, but I did almost, from last year, then they totaled this, I did almost double it. I have 90% more hours playing games on PS5 this year, or PlayStation in general. They do actually track your split between PS5 and PS4 games. Most of my hours were on games that were technically on PS5, but I still racked a decent number of PS4 titles in there.
Let's see here. I am at 131% more playtime than last.
Games.
Yep, games. Funnily enough, I only played 16 hours online, and that was probably the hours I played either Aliens or Saints Row the Mega.
I mean, mine is 15 hours, so yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. Like, I do not do the online much.
I've played a little bit of Gundam.
Wait, wouldn't Master Duel count for online though?
It probably should, but I don't know if it does.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't actually know if you require a premium membership to because there is a solo mode obviously, but most of the game is online, so I don't know. It might be one of those rare games that is actually free to play. Because it doesn't have full cross compatibility. I don't run into people playing it on Xbox on my machine. I just run into people who are on PC or on PlayStation. So it might be one of those like semi-walled things with matchmaking. But again, I don't actually know how.
Me just standing next to guys in my Christmas, I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
I'm here to bring Christmas to the Garleans.
No, I'm trying to think of something that rhymes with devastation that's like festival. Festive.
Celebration?
Such celebration.
Yes.
Festivation does work, but it's a little too silly. I don't think that sounds like our boy here.
Oh no! It's a boss battle.
How do you load? Now that I'm thinking about this, how does he load that guy on that elevator that fast? And like it goes down, it comes right back up with that big boy on it.
It's like they practice. I'm pretty sure Garleans just practice a lot of these fucking moves.
They do have to practice. They're very coordinated.
Listen, Nero drops a hammer from the fucking ceiling and it lands in his hands. Or lands right next to him.
You're absolutely right. He does totally fucking practice that. That's what he does in his free time. He just stares at his Polaroid picture of Sid and practices his hammer catch.
It's probably a really dumb picture of Sid, too, like he's eating a burger or something.
That's about right, yeah.
This has to be a weird candid shot. Sorry, I love just thinking about fucking Sid and Nero's love-hate relationship. It brings me joy. You know, talking about Gundam fucking, you know, the homosexual rival relationship. Nah, I'm about it. I'm about it sometimes. Did I say heterosexual or homosexual?
I don't know.
I don't even know. I meant homosexual, by the way. Let's see. I don't think there's anything really that else interesting about my PlayStation wrap-up.
No, it's fairly minimal. It's not the most in-depth. Like, I know they tracked my most played genre. I'd really love to see, like, what overall all my hours in different genres were, because mine is usually FPS or RPG, just because those tend to suck up the hours.
Yeah.
And I assume that, like, Cyberpunk must be pulling double duty, because it's a first-person RPG.
Probably.
But yeah, it's always fun.
I do like looking at stats.
It doesn't. Yeah, stats are fun, and it doesn't give you the whole picture, obviously, because like I said, there are games that I have basically completed over the course of this year that would not that I really enjoyed that wouldn't show up on there. Like I bought Katamari Reroll, the remaster of the original Katamari Damacy, and finished that in like a weekend. You know, played through Cult of the Lamb on PlayStation. Stray obviously was like 2 days worth of gameplay. I had a lot of fun with those games, but they are obviously way more compact. You know, Cyberpunk extends itself well to just freeballing hours. The cool name is the takeaway there, like of like Alien. I'm like, yeah, no, that's just my dedication to Alien's fire team. I did in fact run that game that much. But yes, PlayStation ramp up. It was a thing.
It is a thing.
I don't know if chat will have too much to say about this, but that does remind me, you made a comment earlier, which I don't know if you were actually you talked about High on Life. That's the name of a video game that's out now.
Yeah, no, it's I'm not interested in the game. I'm really not. But
I mean, it's only on Xbox and PC right now. So
but I've been seeing a lot of ads
play it.
for it everywhere. I'm just all like, how desperate do you want me to play this game?
That's interesting because I haven't seen any ads for it really.
Oh, I have.
So if you don't know, High on Life is it's the latest from Squanch Games, which is Justin Roiland's video game development company that he's partially invested in and works on. If you don't know that, Justin Roiland is one of the creators of Rick and Morty. He does a lot of the key character voices. He is both Rick and Morty. While some people have received some of his games, there was the VR Rick and Morty game that a lot of people liked. He also did Trover Saves the Universe, I think a couple of years ago now, which was somewhat well received. High on Life is a first-person shooter game. You've probably seen it, poked fun of or mocked a little in the marketing cycle, because unfortunately it's the game with the talking gun, and the gun is Justin Roiland. There's actually other guns and weapons, I think, that may or may not have Justin Roiland's voice, but that's the first one you get. They earlier this year, I think it was at Summer Games Fest, they showed off like the first boss fight and stuff. And it was, full of a lot of usual Justin Roiland brand humor. Looking at it, it's definitely the kind of game where if you like his style of humor, which is very almost improv heavy, like a lot of it is unscripted, and you can tell because he and a lot of the people working with him in the game don't really cut out the bits you normally would in like scripted setting. There's a lot of like ahms, pauses, stumbling over words, repeating yourself. If you don't like that humor, you're not gonna like this game. This game is just that. I haven't watched Rick and Morty in a while. I think some of the later seasons are on Hulu. I probably could catch up and see how I still feel about it. I find a decent number of Justin Roiland's humor hits for me, but I can also be like, yeah, I don't know if I would want to pay full price and like play through this whole game and be nothing but that, because it's a thing I think we're seeing a lot with games right now, where I don't know whether it's because game companies want to feel like, they're getting the most out of their money for paying for their actors, or the writers are like, oh, I can make funny clips that somebody can punch out on the internet, or what. Obviously, with Squanch Games, there's an expectation that the game will be quote-unquote humorous. It's getting like a lot of positive reviews from people who are playing it. So, and it's free on Game Pass both for PC and Xbox. So it's that kind of game. I can totally see a lot of people picking it up for free. It's very meta from what I've seen. I've been watching somebody streaming a few hours of it. I definitely laugh at some of the jokes, but I'm also, watching somebody else play it, watching a stream archive of it, while I also do other stuff. So when the jokes aren't landing, I can tune it out. I don't know if, like you said, it's the kind of game I would play like alone on my own. But people are really, really agitated about it. A lot of people who don't like, the popularization of Rick and Morty or Justin Roiland are like, this will finally be the time when people are over with the joke. No, spoilers. Guess what? No. There's a reason why Rick and Morty was like so popular on the internet. People liked it, and so this is just more of that, so people still like it. I feel like, as a general like discussion point, I don't really have too much more to say about High on Life other than that, like, gameplay and design-wise, it does look like an interesting game. Mm-hmm. It's just that, as usual, it's the humor and the dialogue element that, like, well, we're never going to get past that part. That's the game right there, is just Justin Roiland and his improv friends, say funny lines. And sometimes they say stuff that's kind of unexpected but off the wall, but that you'd want to hear, and other times they don't. Very meta commentary about, oh, it's an FPS game. You kill a lot of people. Then again, some games are still not good at that ludonarrative dissonance. They don't bring up at all the fact that you're killing loads of dudes. But I definitely think there's something to be said there for the concept that, like, if you don't like a certain style of humor, or you're not in the joke, or just you weren't there at the right moment, and it's not for you. I mean, I feel like this with other Zoomer shit and stuff sometimes too. So I'm not like totally on the inside here, but I feel like sometimes, especially on the internet, people have this impression that, like, eventually everyone else will get it like I get it. They'll all come around to my point of view, and I think it does lead to some of this consternation with shit like High on Life, where like I'm seeing people like tweeting about it and being like, "Yeah, I kind of expected this, people would be over this, but no, it's selling, it's getting reviews, it's got a big swing. Like, its Metacritic is like I think like 56, but it's got like an 8 point something in user reviews, which feels like the kind of thing I would expect because I'm gonna be real with y'all. Like I said, I've watched somebody play like 2 hours of this game. It's not really that deep. There's a lot of references and or jokes about the fact that it's a first person shooter and you got to kill some people. There's a lot of really over the top dialogue. Your knife is like Australian and he really likes stabbing. Poke me in him, so his guts. Hey, what if you stabbed yourself with me? I'm your knifey. It's like, okay, yeah, I got it. You're a psychopath. A lot of stuff going on with you're fighting a drug cartel who's turning planet Earth and human beings into literal drugs. So like there's some of that there. There's a lot of talk about, people's interactions with drugs. I can totally see how critics are not going to be like in on this because maybe they don't like the humor or it's just too repetitive or, they're like expecting a gamier game. It still seems pretty gamey, but there's definitely moments where they pause the action for comedy from what I've seen. But like I said, yeah, it's just kind of interesting to see that vibe where people are like, oh, this time they'll see that I'm right and that he's not funny. And it's not how it works. Humor is subjective, guys. I don't know what you were expecting. Like, it's possible for people to get burnt out, right? It's possible for people to get over things. That's happened very famously in popular culture at times. Look back at like I guess you would call it the disco crash, right? Mm-hmm. Like, disco was the biggest thing in the world, and then all of a sudden people were just fucking over it. It's gone everywhere. So it is possible to burn out, but I don't think this kind of thing is going to do that. So yeah, it's just an interesting thing. And I'm not saying chat, like I said, if I found myself laughing at some of the jokes in the game that I've seen on stream. And at the very least, I'll say this. The gameplay seems like it's sound. It seems like it's a very uncomplicated but solid FPS. There's shit like traversal and jumping, and there's like special like alt fire attacks and stuff. It's just it is a lot of the same style of jokes from Roiland and his crew that you've probably seen already. And if you're not down for that, don't bother. Don't bother playing the game. You're probably not gonna like it.
I've never been a fan of Rick and Morty, so I'm just like anytime I see anything about them, I'm just like, nah, pass.
Yeah, that's fair. I definitely feel like some of the jokes are hit or the miss for me. But it's like I said, it's been a while. I haven't even caught up on like several of the older seasons, let alone like the really current stuff. So I can't really even talk about like how it's evolved over time. I do know that as a guy, from what I understand, Justin Roiland seems okay. He's just, doing his thing with his improv comedy. I'm pretty sure he's friends with the Game Grumps guys. I remember that they joked about how they tried to get him on Guest Grumps for like forever, and they kept losing the footage. I believe they did eventually pull it off. Just you fucking... What are you right now, dancer?
Yeah.
Just your fucking dancer hops in your Christmas costume.
Yep.
And then there's just tiny angry Loth back there. But yeah, I don't know. That's a thing that's out there. I figured I'd bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
Chat. Let me see if I can find if there's any crazy recaps about Jump Festa, because that happened. The Festival of the Shonen Jump. It's happening.
There have been quite a few.
There was a decent amount of Yu-Gi-Oh! News in the context of like new Master Duel stuff and new set releases, but that's not really what we're about here. Well, hopefully we're doing the AP tomorrow. I hope we are. I wrote this week to prep. We do have we're back. We talked about this earlier. Dallas is no longer being crushed by finals, so we did actually have an RP session last week. We played some more Gensekai. It was good. We had a good time. Good. I'm glad you say that, because I know I had fun testing out my, really specific boss fight stuff, but obviously that was kind of focused on a 1v1 versus Dallas.
I mean, I'm never. Yeah. Well, if we want to talk about Jin's-Kai, we can, but I don't know if you have anything else you want to get out before that.
No, I was just going to look up if there was any, like, a summary of the Jump Festa stuff, or if you had anything from that you wanted to.
Nah.
Listen, there's announcements, there's stuff happening.
There's stuff
Anime is
happening, but unfortunately, it's hard to go into anime manga right now because people are blowing the fuck up over Pokemon and the anime.
Well, that technically, I think, is Jump Festa news originally.
I do believe so, but I'm not sure. But I tried talking to people, and people are just like, no, we must talk about the new protagonist's heritage. And it was like, do we, though? Do we?
Yeah. You've been recommending a couple, like, mangas or novels and stuff, and some people are on some things. Though we did obviously have that, waifu score trend. But there's some new trailers and news. We'll probably talk about it as we get more concrete stuff.
I'll see if I can find it. I'll probably trying to find a recap in a couple days and, parse that.
Yeah, it's also still ongoing.
Yeah. But no, with Jin's-Kai, I'm like, no, actually, I had a decent time, and honestly, like, I'm actually like very like I was actually impressed because I really did like the stance maneuver system you had. Like, I thought that was actually pretty fucking baller, and wish we actually had more stuff like that. Because that's the weird thing, like, maneuvers in the Genesis system are very much, I guess the best way to say it, very hit or miss.
They're important, but they're very samey.
Like, you can move, you can aim, you can grab an item. That's, like, generally the thing. Or you can, fight defensively, and I put that in fucking quotes. Because usually what a person will do is they'll fucking attack and then fight defensively. And then they'll probably do something else on the next turn. So usually that fucking black doesn't ever fucking come up. So, like, seeing that you had a system where someone can use their maneuver to get, to change their quote-unquote stance and, get benefits that way, I'm like, oh no, that's fucking sweet. Like, I really like that. And that's why I was just like, I was interested just in listening and, like, just listening along and seeing how each stance affected combat.
And you can listen for the whole thing if you watch the video version. After all 4 stances were seen, I just posted my notes in the chat, so you guys can track that way. But I tried to take an influence from some of the, crazy different, like, longsword or two-hander stances you can get in, like, classical, medieval, and Renaissance fencing.
Yep.
So there was, like, high guard, low defensive, one-handing it with the extended reach. At one point, he half-sworded it so he could just bonk people with the hilt. Because that's not actually a very common maneuver, but it's funny. So, and it works in a fantasy setting as being extra cool. So yeah, I really wanted to play around with boss design and with specific challenges. Some of that is seen in some NPC profiles, but I definitely feel like a lot of that stuff would stay more towards focused things in this. But yeah, there's definitely, I don't want to say a dearth, but usually your maneuver, if you've got them, you're using them very specifically, most likely for movement, whether that's engaging, disengaging, changing range bands. That's a very important thing. If you're in a ranged fight, going for cover. Cover was very important in Star Wars, for instance, because there was a lot of ranged combat going on. Bang. Well, it doesn't always matter. Sometimes those defense dice do matter. Sometimes you want those extra black. Every little bit counts as unending death robots are trying to gun you down. But no, that's why I'm blind. I'm not in the right document. I was going to actually pull up my Genesis core book and skim through the actual, like, maneuver list. Please. But movement is your most important, usually. And then after that, if you're already in your optimal engagement range, like you said, it's usually pretty basic. If you're being offensive, you're probably aiming for those boost dice. Those boost dice can be important, obviously.
Yeah.
But you can get them from other sources. Or if you're trying to not get hit, you're either, like I said, you're getting in cover, or you're taking a defensive stance if you're in melee.
Yeah.
So there are some other things.
It's like that's the flow chart right there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and if somebody was new to Genesis and preferred to learn through flowcharts, I could build you the flowchart of what your actions look like for a default character with no special talents. Are you playing a melee build? Okay, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to use your maneuver to engage and then bonk. Are you playing a character who is ranged only and sucks at melee? Well, you're going to want to disengage from anybody who's within range of you, and then you're going to want to shoot. You know, it's all very simple. And I've got it. Let's see. Rules, combat encounters, maneuvers. Yeah. So the suggested maneuvers are, let's see, aim, assist. We almost never do this in combat. You can just use your maneuver to help a buddy to give them a blue die. But it's, you know, very situational. There's guarded stance. You can interact with the environment. This includes taking cover, but can also be opening or closing a door, moving an item, etc. We don't always do that way, but it does sometimes come up, you know, if there are important environmentals, but sometimes there's just not environmental actions to deal with. Or at the very least, while it's cool, very rarely is an environmental action more important than, like I said, assuming your optimal engagement range or anything. You can manage gear, that's drawing, holstering, readying weapons, taking out something out of your storage, mounting or dismounting vehicles or mounts. That might come up more slightly now that Dallas did get his mount drop.
I am going to complain a little bit about that in a second, but please keep going.
You can move, drop or stand from prone. Usually, this ends up almost being more like a punishment. If you've been knocked down, you have to spend a maneuver to get back up. But you know, it can actually benefit you because there are, like, benefits to dropping prone when you're, like, doing a combat engagement. And you can use the prepare maneuver to prepare weapons or items. And that's it. That's all of them. That's pretty broad, but is also very general. There are talents, obviously, that add more maneuvers. But those tend to be very loosey-goosey and, yeah, are very situational and very tied to your build. Like, for instance, I don't think Porter currently has a lot of extra maneuvers he would be taking as a caster. I believe you have Conduit, so you can cast as a maneuver.
But yeah, that's further down the tree, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Dallas's character, because he has Knight as one of his, he will almost always be using one of his early maneuvers to challenge, to tank stance, basically, because he is a tank and he's here to draw aggro. I don't think... I do believe that Rion, Aaron's character, also has Conduit, because he's mostly a caster, but I don't think there's a lot for him to do as your magic DPS to do with maneuvers. Like, often he'll just aim if he wants to do a maneuver. And similarly, Axe's range DPS, I don't think he usually needs to do anything with his maneuvers other than, like, usually just aim to do better.
Yep. Do better!
But yeah, so you wanted to say something about items.
Yeah, no, so Porter has been playing pretty not greedy. I really don't ask much for when we're doing stuff. Either I'll buy it or I'll shop for it. So I haven't been picking up much loot. I really haven't. So color me surprised when the first time I genuinely say, hey, I want that, Dallas wants to fucking fight me for it. Despite, like, wanting to pick up he wanted to pick up one thing already, and there was something literally custom made for him later. While he had been picking up things, like, previous things, like, he picked up the sword, like, the Moonsilver sword, he picked up the, armor, he got more new armor, he got the Athame, he got the shield that we got in the last thing, and I'm just like, I just wanted these gauntlets, that's it! Because he also picked up the giant spear, and he didn't read this one. But I noticed that there was the spectral the skeletal horse whistle in the bottom of that, and like I didn't say it like right then and there, but I was literally about to fucking throw down in this entire fucking chat of Dallas, he who has been grabbing every piece of spare fucking loot he can. Denies me the one thing here that is like, because you said you had basically built it for basically either of us. Yes. At that point because
yeah, I didn't necessarily know how the loot from like the previous batch and this batch would have shaken out, for instance. So I wrote it all together. So I was like, okay, I'll make these gauntlets so that they could serve either Dallas's build or your build.
Yeah.
Obviously I did. It's and this is funny to bring up because obviously, the sword, probably going to Dallas. He's your main sword guy. Like, I know you brought up the Moonsilver sword, but again, that was, like, especially back then, I don't think anybody else was interested in that as a melee weapon.
No.
But he did end up taking the shield, which, again, that was not necessarily meant for him. He did end up liking it better, and I think it works on him, because it makes the...
It let him use it. It actually came in handy last session. It let him do a parry without
Without spending strain.
Yeah.
This is bad. Listen, you guys should seriously watch this AP if you haven't. It's shorter, but there's only like one fight in it, and I said it's a 1v1. It's a very intense 1v1. There's a lot of like back and forth in it.
Yeah.
It's very it because of critical hit results and just the way stuff shakes out, it becomes very interesting at the end.
Oh yeah.
It was very tense, which I hope made it, suitable for the other players who were also basically like the audience.
No slapping Dallas, because as soon as I said, because Dallas said, I'm gonna have to fight you for that, I immediately said, all right, I'm taking the skeletal horse whistle then. And he was like, okay, never mind.
He's like, wait, right, okay, I have there's something at the bottom of this list. Like I said, I think he was literally reading the list in order and was like, okay, sword, yeah, that's probably me. Cloak, mid, gauntlets. Ooh, these are casting gauntlets. That's cool. And then he hadn't gotten to the horse whistle yet, and you were like, all right, hold on. There's a horse whistle for you here. Which, again, literally for him. He's been talking about wanting a skeletal horse, and I was like, how the fuck can I make this work? I made it work.
No, because like I said, I haven't been really greedy with the items, because I'm greedy with items because, and I was hurting. I was literally hurting for some sort of magic casting implement, while Dallas literally has multiples. I'm just all like...
Well, and that's some of that I think is just, again, it's I greatly appreciate that all of the player characters and the players like to stick to their aesthetics usually.
Mm-hmm.
That does sometimes remember the confusion. Yeah, the Athame was a very weird thing because, like, literally if you listen to that recording, I'm pretty sure Dallas says that just after we bring it up and you find it, nobody really wants it, so Dallas is just like, I guess I'll just hold on to it for now. Like, he wasn't really committed to using it. I still don't think he is. I think it's just kind of like because he doesn't have a lot of extra kit, because he doesn't,
Well, I think he wanted it because it was like bone and stuff, and that was his aesthetic.
Yeah, he was like, it's dragon bone, it fits my aesthetic. I guess I'll hold on to it, you know. But if we were trying to like be like, well, somebody else needs a cool casting implement, we could have got there. But you were also kind of like, it's nice, but maybe it's not for me, No. But yeah, no, with the gauntlets in question that turned into a casting item, I was like, yeah, no, I literally wrote this as the hidden rune so that like either of you could take it, and I will turn it into something else later when it's thematically appropriate. And I think the funny thing is that like balance wise, once Dallas like actually like started like crunching numbers, which is the thing that again, love you guys. I greatly appreciate that for the most part. When I like dish out loot, mostly people are like, what does this look like? What does this do? Does this fit my aesthetic? And then once you guys have settled on it, you start to crunch the math. Dallas figured out that like he wasn't really getting that much different than his present implements anyway. With the gauntlets, it would just be like giving him ice for free out of his usual spell casting, and he doesn't even need that badly. Maybe it would have called on him to do some more impact casting, but anyway. But it was technically, damage-wise, it was worse off than the special gauntlets he had just bought and actually used earlier in the session as his unarmed attack. So I think it worked out. And I acknowledge that you were hurting for that magic implements as I narratively threw in an extra, not a drop, but like an extra item to just be like, man, have this.
That was also
Neat.
very nice.
Yeah. Now I think the only thing I need to get you is we need to get you a new melee.
Yeah. And I did mention I am a fan of axes and hammers.
Yeah.
And you're like, yes, excellent.
I'm like, okay, I'll keep that in mind. That's basically what I do. Like that's where the horse thing came from. I know that Axe has a very particular mount in mind for Leona that's in the back of my mind. I haven't figured out how to stitch that one in yet, but we'll get there. Like especially for playtesting and stuff, I like to pay attention to what you guys say you want or where you want to go. And I like to figure out ways to build up to that, especially if it lets me experiment with stuff. Like very recently, in the prior, big loot drop, Rion got access to a special staff, that's got some stuff in there.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of curious, like, what he's going to do with it, because it did used to belong to another guy. It's very obviously appealing to him, and it gives him some of the bonuses he wants. And it's got some fun narrative stuff in there. It lets him, like, shed light, and also gives him, like, an AoE shockwave if too many people get up in his grill. He's had a problem with that a couple of times. Getting clowned on in melee. But, like, I introduced it. Well, it used to belong to this guy, and he made it. Well, he's dead now. Is there anyone to have it? I don't know. He's got a daughter. She's studying somewhere where you might go later. Maybe, maybe he will give it back to her, or he'll keep it, or he'll make a new one. Because I introduced kind of the idea of where he got that from. So, lots of these little things. It was pretty easy to just upgrade Leona's weapon and just be like, here's a bow. It's dragon bone. There's dragon cultists. They have a dragon bow. Go for it. It's
Ta-da!
slightly better. I wouldn't. And obviously, like I said, the cloak. You know, Axe, you say you quietly took the cloak. The cloak was always meant for you.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I don't think no one was going to fight you on the cloak.
Yeah, because it's got stats similar to like ranger type cloaks, and also gives you a stealth bonus, which is kind of your other thing. And I figured that the extra mobility would kind of match you guys. There was that moment, the one time you've used your heroic ability pretty prominently, as Leona was talking to corvids to birds. So, like, I felt like thematically it works. You know, you're a ranger, you got to be tricked out in like furs and feathers and stuff. You know, it's just thematically appropriate. God, those guys have big ass tails. Those are tall boys.
They are tall boys. Now they're dead boys.
Rip them. So yeah, like there's a lot of stuff going on there, you know, and obviously I like to leave it open-ended for you guys to craft your own things, you know, because I know that quite a few people are interested in the crafting system. Aaron ended up making his own all-in-one tool.
Yep.
So like that's
I'm very jealous.
I wanna leave that room open for you guys to do those things. So, you know, I try to like mix it up a little. At the very least, you know, you can always sell stuff. But yeah, I think it was a fun time.
It was a fun time.
Our next session will probably not be that punched down, because it's still, you got a decent number of days to travel to Venitas, so it's going to be more random encounters on the road and more optional semi-random side jobs you can do for extra cash and extra plow.
I do need extra cash. We did get paid for a job the other day, but since I borrowed like 700 gold so I can get my armor being as spiffy as I wanted, like as soon as we got paid, I'm just like, and I'm broke again.
And I believe several other people are fucking broke. Like, I think Dallas is down to very little cash. So I expect that what you guys will be stopping at villages or like military outposts, you'll probably be like, and anything on the quest board? Well, I have a chart for that, so
excellent.
We'll see about getting you guys probably not a lot of money, but if you can find the time to do a decent number of these jobs, you know, you can probably rack up at least a little bit of spending cash for the next town. And then I haven't written it out, but I have my ideas for the next session, which will play into some more of the stuff that I have been writing currently in the Game Master's Guide.
Cool.
I worked through Criminals and Outcasts, and I'm working on just generic citizen profiles. As usual, I once again went down a dark rabbit hole of world building in my utter unhingedness and wrote way more paragraphs than I need to.
As you do.
I did a generic stat line for what was called Crusading Knight. So just like, hey, you're a member of a militant order, a wandering knight priest. Yay. And then I was like, okay, so I'm going to list some militant orders of different churches to, explain, how game masters might, drift some of these stats a little, add some extra skills, maybe adjust some of their gear and stuff.
Okay, guys.
And also just understand how to use them differently in the fluff. And also for player characters, this is the kind of thing that where a player who was playing a Crusader-type priest might want to be like, hey, so what is my, what would my backstory be like? Who would I be associated with? There's some light plot hooks in the core book, but I wanted to actually, again, flesh these out a little with some different ideas for skills, some extra, appearance-wise descriptions and stuff, and it turned into a whole, page and a half, 2 pages worth of sidebars.
Huh.
Just detailing everything.
Well, that was something. That was something that I was thinking about because of when Porta went to the Sunblossom Temple.
Yeah,
they were, the bishop, or was it a bishop?
Something like that.
Something like that.
It was a pretty big temple.
Some dude was all like, "Are you part of some order?" And I was just like, "There's only 2 orders that I know of." I'm just like, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah. So this sidebar was focused on the militant ones, but it does add some extra names and some ideas. And discusses some new concept, fleshes out some old ones. And I did get to actually do some decent general world building there. For instance, there are actually 2, technically 3, but 2 normal scions who have no militant orders. Which is, there are no militant orders of Aphros. Aphros is the scion of Hearth and Home.
I'm about to say, Aphros sounds
harmony and stuff.
Yeah.
Warfare is not really her thing. It's mostly the militant orders associated with, the Church of Chryso or who are, honor-bound to defend her followers. And the other one is another one you might expect. There are no militant orders of Hemoth because there are almost no orders of
Hemeth
like
to begin with.
yeah.
Hemeth is
Hemeth
the hermit. Hermits don't have armies.
Yeah, no, she is the scion of like isolation and self-reflection. She barely has an organized priesthood as is. So, and then the other fun fact is the other scion who used to not have any militant orders was Minim. There were no militant orders of Minim pre-schism. Specifically, that role was filled by the militant orders of Yuno also, because again, this is mentioned in a couple of places, but Yuno and Minim are twin sisters, not identical twins. Yuno is described as having dark hair, and Minim is a pale-skinned redhead. So, but yeah, it's, kind of an interesting lore note. And then, like I said, I included some different ones that kind of build up the fluff, explain the kind of people you're going to run into. Added some extra orders. Like I got my Varangian or Swiss Guard XP in here. It's the Altaran Guard. They're an order under Chryso that are from the Highlands, but they now are the personal bodyguards of the Hierophant and the Imperator in New Lemuria. They're known for heavy weapons, claymores, halberds. But yeah, so there's some extra stuff in there that can help build characters. And I want to point out, this is not to say that, like, for instance, if you wanted to play a player character who is a priest of Aphros, you could not take the Crusader spec. Just that you're not part of an organized order. There is no standing army of Aphros anywhere doing deeds in her name. But you definitely can, smite with your rolling pin real good.
No, it's gotta be a frying
That is a
pan.
joke I make in the text.
Listen, Porter hasn't cursed a lot, but trust me, when I start cursing, I'm gonna be like, Aphros' cast iron pan.
Yep, that's what the epithets are.
Yep.
I even note that that's especially a pork thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of Afrosisms. But yeah, so there's some extra stuff here. The sidebar is titled "The Chambers Militant," and it goes into length because I can't not be at length. Though I did experiment with something today, and I'm going to want to see how you guys feel about reading-wise. So for the core Gensakai document, because that is mostly done most of the time, I actually shrunk the typeface. I moved it down from GDoc's default 11-point type to 10.
Oh, really?
Like, everything is 10-point. That shaved off definitely some pages. So long as that's still, like, readable to people and they don't feel like it hurts their eyes, I might leave it that way because that makes it a little more compact and gets more text per page and stuff.
I might do that. Well, when we get done recording, I'll probably do that because I am playing the fantasies right now.
Yeah. But yeah, I've still got plans to chip away on those, what I'm calling citizens and civilians type stat blocks. Again, it points out in the description. The idea is that these are not necessarily adversaries you have to fight per se, but they are the kind of people you will run into. You might have disagreements with them. They might have, goals, counteraction to adventurers. But also, this can be support NPCs and hirelings can just use these stat lines.
Me.
So there's just, some extra fluff in there I've thrown in. The criminals are definitely supposed to be mostly opponents, though, again, some of them might not be.
Listen, I am still waiting for the time where you just put, like, Thieves Guild member in front of Dallas who aren't actually doing anything and just see what happens.
I mean, I can spoil it. That's gonna be the quest line in Venitas. I've worked on my Thieves Guild fluff. There's gonna be a guy, but he's gonna also be a card carrying adventurer. So we'll have to see how Mortis wraps his head around that one. Because technically, the last members of the Thieves Guild you ran into were not also adventurers; they were just randos. But we'll get to be an overlap. I'll get to use the stat line I came up for Gilder Nocturnes. Because remember, the one of the iconic adventurers, the iconic rogue, is Saint Nocturne, who was a guild master of the Thieves Guild, but also a really heckin' good rogue. Stole a piece of Minim's shadow. Which is saying something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so, and I did at least try to explain in some of these lore drops that there are, other criminals besides the Thieves Guild. There are, assassin cults. There's the water cartel I've alluded to. Just some other random shit.
It's the randomest.
I talked about it a lot when I was doing the Chaos Spawn and Abominations. There's definitely an idea in this writing where I could focus it and just be like, no, it's all demons and forces of darkness all the time. But it's a parody setting. It's meant to be, based on, like, gaming tropes. that's still not very realistic, and that's also still not even like how gaming is, because all the times in classic RPG video games and old school tabletops, and especially like war games, there's all kinds of weird people you can fight for basically no reason. Like, there's a reason why there are like TV tropes about like weird enemies you can run into in places. We already talked about how there's like fucking whatchamacallit, like there are lots of weird mobs in Final Fantasy VII, right?
Right.
Like, most of the ones you see in Remake are not new. There are weird flying seahorses and hedgehog pies and like I said, all the weird drill machines. That's where fucking Hell House comes from and all that shit. Like,
Yeah, Hell House was just a regular mob in fucking 7. It just
yeah, it was just a random guy you could run into in the Sector 5 slums. He was just a guy. He was a tough mob, but you could fight two at once even sometimes. It's fucking weird.
very weird.
You know, so yeah, no, like these old school games are full of just weird non sequiturs like that because the designers, you know, or the art team came up with a weird model, or the designers were like, you know, whatever there. There's that Brain in a Jar mini boss in 7 as well in Remake. That was just a guy who was in some of the Shinra floors. They just had brain jars flying around. Fucking freaky. Ugh. I talked about this. The enemy design in 7 is so gooey. Ugh. I'm really glad they kept that aesthetic. But yeah, so like Gensakai is definitely made with my love of older school RPGs in mind. So there are a lot of like weird shit in there that's just like, yeah, I just want to give you guys fun stuff to fight because I want to do like interesting encounters and like switch stuff up. It's the same with like how I designed some of the random on the road encounters and then some of the non-random but technically random for you to receive quests that you can do in this next setup. I'm just like, what's an interesting stat line I haven't used yet? You know, I mentioned last time that there were a decent number of elementals that came up just because I had recently written those stats when I wrote the next adventure a while ago. So it's kind of the same thing there. Like, as I just, you know, write new shit and scratch stuff off, we just go through interesting concepts. Part of the reason why I'm glad you guys want to travel and why I want you to travel is so that I can keep coming up with new plot hooks, too.
I mean, I
New
like
plot hooks,
traveling.
new enemies. You guys are going to go to some islands sometime soon, or going to at least hit the coast, you know? We can fucking work in some other shit in there. I got all kinds of aquatic mobs we haven't even had a chance to touch yet. You guys want to fight some pugil shrimp? Some punch shrimp? I'll make you punch shrimp.
I messed up. I forgot about this mechanic. Yeah, this is one of
Well-
the weird mechanics where you have to get one stack of a debuff so that way you don't just instantly fucking die.
Yeah, I know that
It's-
sometimes that's
rough.
what happens. Oh, you're back, and you didn't respawn inside the laser beam.
Yay.
And I think the thing with Harmless Penguin that you brought up, you know, they're talking about what players would like. I think that Hell House was a thing that players would like. Like I talked about, there are a lot of really weird, memorable, random mobs in 7, and lots of other Final Fantasy games. But 7, because it was.
Oh
their
man,
first
almost
free
everyone's
mob
dead.
thing.
Shit!
Oh. Oh, no,
Uh-oh.
we fucked it up.
Done fucked up! Man, I'm not my fucking summoner. Ah! There's not enough people alive.
And it's not good, and it's never good.
Doritos! Oh, we holding on, though. Oh, Lord, are we holding on?
Yeah, everybody needs healing. God, this reminds me of fucking Overwatch people spamming, I need healing. No, you don't. You're just saying that.
All right, here comes Megadeth.
But yeah, aquatics are a whole,
No! People still dying from this mechanic! Stop, please! Ah!
we're just gonna let the insanity play out a little bit, chat.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I actually have to focus because we are pretty fucking close to a wipe.
No, that's okay. I could fill more airspace, but I also kind of feel like just, engaging in the train wreck.
Like we're
rubbernecking
recovering.
right now, chat.
Over half the people are up, so our DPS will be going up. But normally we should have been done with this fight like 5 minutes ago. No,
Yeah,
one of
didn't
the
have a lot of
healers
people
went
that
down. No. Oh god, we only got 2
Shit,
healers. Oh, this is why I should have been a fucking summoner.
Oh no, we need those guys.
Wait. Oh, we have our LB3. Wait, wait, did someone just fucking use it?
I'm watching.
Oh, wait, nope, it's someone using... I swear... Oh, shit. Gotta stand on these. We don't have enough people!
Ruh-roh, Reggie.
Come on, people! We're only halfway through the fucking raid, too. This does not bode well.
No, it does not. But also Ganbate.
Gambare! Gambare!
No, somebody did. I missed it, but somebody did limit break. Shaved off a good chunk of that health.
Yeah, no, we're gonna make it, but... Axe tried to betray Loth, it appears like.
We're halfway there.
Alright, we made it. Oh my god, okay, we did it.
Alright, one big dark goopy left, and we've done it. But yes, in general, much like... Maybe not that complex. Also, since Genesis isn't a grid-based combat, doing actual MMO-style mechanics is a little harder.
Yeah.
It's not like I can define fields per se. It's mostly just like I could center an effect on one character and be like, you and everybody engaged with you, die. But there's definitely a lot of flexibility. We'll keep coming up with fun encounters.
No, I'm excited.
And obviously I have other stuff to work through too. I've been not a lot lately, but I did poke through what I call the appendix of adventure. So there's, like decently fleshed out guidelines for GMs and players to be like, okay, so you want to, hunt and fish and forage. So you want to cook your own meals rather than pay for them. Here you go. That'll probably eventually turn into some comments as well about narrative type rewards. Like how do you reward your players with, stuff besides just big cash monies and shiny loot? Well, you can give them like little titles, reputation bonuses, give them followers, shit like that. And kind of me outlining how that could work.
I would like a harem. I'm gonna work on that.
All right, well, just as long as you've got someplace to store it.
Yeah, that's what listen, this is why I need a flying island. And lots of
I
money.
know that at the very least, Axe is interested in airships, so I'm gonna have to work on the line for that one, and maybe turn that into the flying island at some point. Because I'm very interested in airship stuff, and at some point I probably do need to test how the interaction with like siege weapons and combat and like vehicle rules works in this. Because there are a decent number of vehicle stat lines, and they should exist. It's just we haven't got there, so. Probably some of that will be coming up in Vanitas. I hope you guys are ready to fight pirates.
Oh, Loth is going to push the thing. Thank you, Loth.
Push button.
Yes.
Loth's good at pushing buttons. But Loth is also good at not pushing buttons if he wants me to push the button. Loth's good at this, is what we're saying. Loth is also very good at keeping reactors from being on fire.
Yeah.
Watch Barotrauma. Watch Barotrauma. Watch Barotrauma. I should just record that loop and just, slip it into everything. Seriously, go watch the Barotrauma stream. We ended up doing a flip-flop because there was a new patch that was pretty hype, and also the seasonal event for 14 didn't start, so we played Barotrauma for, 3 hours, and I wasn't the first one out, and we had fun. We killed things. I streamed from my POV, so you could see me killing things. That does mean I don't think you ever got to see, actually, the reactor being on fire, but you got to hear Lucky and Loth yelling about the reactor being on fire.
I did record it. Also, I did, look at some of your footage. Your shit's very choppy.
Is it? I didn't see any uploads. I know I had a little bit of lag. OBS didn't tell me that it was having problems processing, but...
Well, you should take a look, and you'll see what I mean, because I was gonna I was gonna
Yeah, I'll double check it. I haven't.
I
Looked
was
at
gonna
it.
download it. I can't think of the other word I was gonna use.
It should be still in like 1080p and be however many frame rates my computer can and YouTube can shit out, but it might not be super great. I do know that when we tried to just record it, not stream it, I like had to stop recording because it gave me too much like input lag on the Barotrauma side. It seemed like OBS wasn't really freaking out or eating itself like it does sometimes, but I could see it maybe being a little frame ratey.
Yeah, I would like to get this on Barotrauma tonight, but considering we started late, I don't know how long this is going to take for you to process.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to do audio. I mean, the Gensakai was something I did want to talk about. Obviously, you're in the middle of something, but if you're still in the middle of this when we stop, that gives me more time to audio edit. I don't think I have really too much more to bring up. Scratch that off the list. You know, I'm planning on spending a decent chunk of my birthday and or Christmas money on picking up some new books, and that's when I'm gonna start scratching out my backlog of reading. I don't think there's a date on it, but they have announced the 4th Daido Jishin mystery novel. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but they've announced it out there. So I want to get into it. I think the only other like major thing from this week that came up right away that I was interested in was we finally have a date for Mega Man Battle Network Collection.
Yes.
It's April 4th, I think. Let's see. Here we go. Finally, it's heckin' up. They said pre-orders were available now, but I didn't see them on April 14th. Okay, so I was right about the 4/14. And they did this date reveal announcement with also talking about how they're doing online, which is it's full. Online features will be fully in there and will actually be quite well expanded. They're going to allow not only both casual matchmaking with your friends, but also like competitive type ladders, which is pretty cool. Back in the day, the competitive scene was kind of interesting.
I hope Love saw what I did.
Well, we'll see in a second. He'll probably talk about it.
Well, no, he hasn't responded yet, so I don't think he did.
Okay.
He did. God damn it.
Rip.
I'm upset.
But the other thing they're going to do is open up trading. So not only can you trade battle chips with your friends through like private codes and stuff, but also you can trade Navi customizer pieces and styles in the older game, which is pretty interesting. They also seem to clarify that you will be able to access stuff that was normally only Japan-only promo shit in the usual version. You can just turn on those special modes and features.
No, I'm getting excited about this the more I hear.
Yeah, they're doing a lot. I know a lot of people have been asking, does this mean they're gonna like put back in some of the cut content from the later games? And I'm like, I think they have to. I think some of that content, you know, and like 5 and 6, there were some areas that were like very cut down because they couldn't, in English, they couldn't fit the script size for those areas in. So I feel like all that will have to be in the game because presumably they're building it off the original Japanese version, and there's no reason to compress for time. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. I think the only thing was that the inclusion of all these fun network features kind of sold for me what version I was going to getting. I was originally thinking of getting the Switch version for the portable nostalgia, but that would probably mean I would have to pay for the Nintendo Online and stuff. And yes, obviously, it would mean I would need the PS Plus things as well for the network parts. But
you already got that.
Yeah, I already have that. I pay quite a lot of money for access to that, and I am enjoying it, so it's not a problem. And it would also probably make streaming easier because I've talked about this. I want to stream some of this at some point. I don't know how we'll work that out, and you know what exactly it'll look like, but I have a huge love for these games, and I would love to share that with the audience. And it's a lot of fucking games, so even like you said, you're interested in picking it up. I don't think even if like we're in the middle of, I don't know, maybe by the time of April we might be in the middle of still doing like the streaming the RE4 remake. I'm not concerned about you like getting super ahead of me, and like you know you'll learn on your own if you're playing the games. Mm-hmm. And I've played a decent number of them. I think it's only like 2 and 4 I haven't played at all.
I forget, did these network games like save data between games?
Not really.
Not
They
really?
don't
Okay.
need to.
Okay.
So they're kind of self-involved, and you'll be able to pick the different versions
Okay.
for the games that have different versions. You can freely switch and stuff.
Oh shit!
They even clarified that 4 had kind of a special mechanic. The 2 4 games had a special mechanic where you could do like little. You could like send out your navies on your allies on like little tournaments to get back rewards. That's all still going to be in there. So there's a lot of. It seems like they're making the collection with love, which I appreciate. This is not a cheap cash-in. This is like, hey, you've been asking for this. Here it is. We're doing it right. And I'm like, yeah.
I almost fell off the edge. No, where you go? No. I fell off the edge again.
That will be an absolute pre-order for me. But yeah. So, I mean, you know,
I
with
fell
all
down.
that, we've been going for about 2.5 hours and we're a little late and dying in the void. I don't really have anything else to bring up in my notes. Anything else up with you this week, Lucky, to bring up?
Nope.
Okay, well, let's just do the outro and I can try and edit this and we can try and get some amount of Barrow trauma in.
Yeah.
The trauma that is Barrow. Assuming everybody is free, but I think all the people I have question marks about are playing 14 with you, so hopefully they'll be free. All right, let's do outro. Outro goes a little something like this. If you're watching this video and you liked it, be sure to give it a like. Feed the algorithm, let people know this video is likable because you liked it. And if you're still watching us after like 2.5 hours, you probably liked it. Be honest with yourself. You can leave your comments in the comment section down below or hit us up on our Discord, our super fun Discord, link in the description. You can find many friends there. You want to play video games? We got friends for that. You want to play share gacha games? Friends. People on Discord. They can be your friends. Join our Discord. It's cool. Make sure to subscribe to the channel to get all the latest from us. And, you know, like I said, I've got a couple ideas for subscription milestones. We get closer to 32 or 33 or something. We'll figure some fun stuff out. So, you know, drop us a sub, get more of us. Make sure you ring that bell for notifications when you always... Blah. Make sure you ring that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video when we're about to stream. Such as tonight when we had to delay the stream, or other fun things. Ringing the bell is important. It only benefits you. We get literally nothing if you ring the bell. It's only to make it so that you know to watch the content sooner.
Caliphysteria, Monster Girls, yeah.
I'm just watching your sick ups. Mad hops. Additionally, like I said at the front of the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get this episode in audio format for as little as $1 a month or approximately $10 a year. Year's almost over. You can lock in a whole year of Patreon membership, get access to the Patreon channel, our Discord, lots of other fun little things for a mere measly $10. It's a great time. And at higher levels, you can get access to topic polls. You can get access to certain video releases early. Listen to support our flagship show, Let's Talk FGO. Out now, out today. It was out earlier. Live, all kinds of fun stuff, and it helps us out. You can also join our channel membership, clicking the membership, the join button or the membership link below. Get access to membership badges and emotes visible in the live stream chat now, some of them. Those are also visible on community posts and in the comment section, so it's a real fun time to, you know, support us financially and show your support to everybody else. Dunk on your friends. But with all of that, I think that's all the stuff I have to talk about today. This has been a wonderful What's Up. Be sure to catch us next week for more What's Up. Go ahead and watch that Let's Talk FGO if you haven't already. And our next big thing will be stay tuned for Monday for more Dad of Boy. We found a tier. Now we got to talk about tier. Because he's weird. He's a weird tier. So we'll be sure to get into that on Monday. Thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Have a good evening,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye now.